We are back. Yes, I can see you visually. We are live. We are on. That's good. That's good. Greetings, brother. I'm doing well. Let me check your levels. I'm doing very well.
Excellent.
There we go. We're starting to hear you. Mic check 1 2 1 2 1 3. Yes.
Check. Can you hear me?
Yes. We need to turn you up a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Yes.
Yes. So we are here.
We are. You got a whole lot of listeners tuned in over here in Toronto, Canada, all the way East Coast, Florida.
Shout out to you. Indeed.
That's right. That's right. We are here, and brother, I'm just going to, we both had busy days. I'm just going to ask you to assist me truly. We like to set the tone at the beginning of the show and just
Yes.
burn some sage, man. Just clear the air. Anything. Just,
Yeah.
because we know how it starts. We know what the agenda is for Mondays and trying to keep us running and ripping. But we slow it down here at Innerspace Fortress. And we focus on the have. So I'll let you know about that before we start. So it's the healing, the authenticity, the vulnerability, the existence, and the simplicity. The HAVES. And just reminding everyone of that triune, that the man, the woman, the child, the product, the fruit, the dream, whatever it is, that triune. And in terms of knowledge and evening of knowledge, we remind our listeners that our allegiance remains with the ancestors. And
Right.
those are the ancestors that are still here, the elders that we can still reason with. We have the elders that have transcended and who have passed and are on the divine front and now able to guide us and look out for us in a way that wouldn't have happened on this plane, right? And also for Ashe, also for the children, those ancestors that want to be birthed back into this space and looking for frequencies that can handle what they want to have enter into the scene to correct what is wrong without right now. We know there's a lot to get into about what's been going on the grand stage and what is out of place, So, brother, before we get into anything, I just want to welcome you and invite you to this, and just to bless this space as well, that with this smoke, these words to our listeners. May your hands be cleansed, that they create beautiful things.
Absolutely.
May your feet be cleansed, that they might take you where you most need to be.
Ashe.
May your heart be cleansed, that you might hear its messages clearly. May your throat be cleansed, that you might speak rightly when words are needed. Ashe.
Ashe.
May your eyes be cleansed, that you might see the signs and wonders of this world. And may this person in space be washed clean by the smoke of these fragrant plants. And may that same smoke carry our prayers spiraling to the heavens. Ashe.
So, Ashe. So mote it be. Yes, indeed.
If there's any,
That's a beautiful way to start a conversation. Thank you so much for that.
That's right. That's right. And if there's anything you wanted to add in intention or anything you wanted to say, just to please go ahead.
Again, we call upon the cosmos to give us cosmic covering in this endeavor as we embark, right, in the midst of darkness to bring about light. Light always disrupts darkness, so we ask for a cosmic covering of cosmic white light to protect us via this journey. Whoever is tuned in and tapped into this frequency, may they also be covered in cosmic light.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Woo! Energy.
Ashe.
Yes, brother.
Yes, we get it. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. Yes, and I'm here to serve. Let's get it.
All right. So for the listeners just tuning in, and we know our listeners like to trail in a little bit, so you're here with yours truly, Jerema, the Gempress, and we're here with Brother Blue Pill, Mr. Paul Moreland. So what a treat. A lot of people have been looking forward to hearing from you on this side, and I've already heard about requests asking for you to be over here. So we're going to make that happen one day.
We are.
Yeah.
We're going to happen. Shout out to the entire Canadian family, Toronto specifically. I always wanted to, grace the place, and in due time, it would definitely happen.
All in divine time, and trust me. And here the connections are being made, so it's happening. I wanted to just ask you in general a check-in, level 0 to 10. How you feeling energy level wise? How's your day? Where you at?
Plus. 11 plus. I have a ritual that I do on Mondays, and I always reverberate even in my own mind. Sometimes I bring it outside and express it, but Mondays are marvelous. Mondays are magnificent. Mondays are miraculous. Because you have to set a tone and a frequency. Normally we're drudgingly coming into the quote unquote week.
Right.
Shout out to a friend of mine, Vanessa. I see she's tapped in here as well, because she's the first one that helped correct our language and perspective. That it's not a week, it's a strong, right? So
that's what we say here.
Those 7 units of time. First of all, it begins on Sunday, so we're already starting on a 2-step on a Monday,
right?
Because you said it. You said Father, Son, and therefore,
right.
So we are to lend ourselves to the observation that these planetary days represent planets and energies. Then we would know. We would want our house and our temple to start on the 1.
That's right.
So we already are starting kind of off. That's why it's a week. You know what I'm saying? Because you already are disabled with how you are beginning this particular approach to this unit. I want the trajectory of my 7-day unit to go upward. Right? So when I get to the strong end, I can finish strong and start and just continue to elevate.
The strong start right there.
Has to soar. I cannot be going, ebbs and flows and dips and starting all over again. It has to be a continuous upward trajectory. So I look at every day, every unit as the ability to become stronger, almost as if like going to the gym.
Right. Amazing. I love that. And we could definitely get into that a little bit later about the days of the strong, and it's funny. I'll add on to that one for you. You said we're having this lovely way to start a conversation, But tonight is a true versation. It's all truth. All truth in the house. Yes. So I'm going to ask you, really, where are you from? What's the time over there where you are? Oh, okay. I'll give you a second. Gotcha. Give you a second. Yes. It's been a heightened lead up to this strong Monday. What you drinking?
It's pure cranberry with grape juice, and it was so concentrated they would have hit
I know those ones.
Yes, but it is 7:30 where I'm at. I'm in Atlanta, so we are on Eastern Standard Time.
All right, so we're rocking with the same timeline.
Supposedly, we're in the same timeline. Which totally confuses me. We gotta have that conversation at another time. So I'm like, trajectory-wise, the entire East Coast, all the way up to Canada, shares the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Where when you go this way, it starts switching, and
right.
Arizona doesn't change at all because that's Mountain Time.
Right.
Whole nother conversation. But yes, it's a very interesting observation. It's 7:30 where I'm at, and the sun is still kind of out. The sun was going down a few days ago around 6 o'clock.
True.
But we manually, although they did it digitally, changed the time Saturday night. And I was out on the town. We was at an event, and it went from, oh, baby, what did it do?
1:59, and then it was 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it went from 1:59 to 3 o'clock. And, that was like a mental roller coaster ride. Because you're attempting to recalibrate, the energy that expended through the day. And you're like, all right, there's a time, I need to take it down.
It's true.
And my body was like, yeah.
No.
The perception of time can have a physical effect on your temple because it's all mental, right? I'm looking at the clock and it's saying it's 4 a.m. And then I just got a lot more tired.
Absolutely.
Just because of the perception of what time I thought it was.
Right. Look at that programming. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Give me 1 second, please.
No problem. All right. Yes, just welcoming everyone still into the Innerspace Fortress. Shout out to everyone watching online. We're here every Monday evening, www.rootsreggaeradio.live. That's Roots with a Z at the Innerspace Fortress. So we're here building community, building from within to correct what is without. Based out of Toronto, Canada. So, yes, there's black people over here. Yes. We are here and we're building. It's that time. I was reasoning with Brother Bluepill and we were talking about Canada, specifically Turtle Island, and some of the slight differences. And I was really surprised and really grateful that Brother knew a lot of the information that we are seeking over here. Yes. Hail up, Canada. The circus show right now. But we're doing all right. We're surviving it out, elevating, spiraling up. So that is what we have to do at all times. It's the only direction we can go is up.
Only direction, yes. So
I was going to ask you, I heard something, correct me if you know, or if you know anything about that, but somebody told me that it either happened or is happening shortly, that they're trying to converge all of the time zones into one as a war tactic. What is that?
Well, they passed legislation in 2022. Ironically, I think it was April of 2022 because I just got back at that time from Arizona, and I was making an observation about Mountain Time,
right,
and these time zones because I left Phoenix, Arizona at midnight. I got on a 3-hour red-eye flight. I got 3 hours later. I was in Atlanta, but it was 6 a.m.
Right.
So I said, "What happened to those 3 hours?"
What happened?
and both of them are located on the 33rd parallel line. So from Arizona to Atlanta, that's your 33 and the third. And both places are represented by the Phoenix. I don't know if I'm telling too many
Wow.
secrets, but
Wow. No, you good.
yeah. And then ironically, right after that, they had passed legislation. They brought up legislation saying that they wanted to eliminate, um, turning back the time and stuff of that nature. And it was approved, but they haven't necessarily gone through with it yet.
Got you.
And I think that yes, all time zones or the changing of time zones, it all comes under some aspect of military. Because then that's why you get
Military
time,
time. Right.
right? So
Wow.
the time zone is interesting. They say whoever controls your time controls you. And here these people are telling you to manually, rewind and set a clock back, and then we have to mechanically adapt to that program,
Right.
and our body is attempting to recalibrate. We have something called circadian rhythm,
Yes.
and that means that your body, your hormonal balance in your body is operating based on sunlight and nighttime, right? In sun when the sun is out, the body knows to secrete specific hormones, serotonin in particular, and at night, right, it knows to secrete melatonin. Now, because we're on these devices and we're exposed to blue light all day, right? Blue light that is emanating from your phone operates on the same wavelength as sunlight. So you're literally telling your body while you're on your phone all day that it's 2 p.m. Melatonin is not getting released, not because you don't have melatonin, right? And a lot of people are going through these issues with sleep where they are becoming insomniacs. They can't sleep.
True.
Because their body is being thrown off by the digital deluge of blue light. It's destroying us, the toxicity factor. And this is not the stuff that they're going to tell you on the news until 4 or 5 years from now.
Later, right.
But yeah, digital devices, the overindulgence of digital devices is destroying our circadian rhythm. And that ultimately is going to lessen our time on this planet. Because if you're not washing your brain, because there's actually a process called brainwashing, you're not renewing your cells, you're not resetting your biological internal clock, right? And you're going to do the same things that ChatGPT is doing. You're going to be hallucinating. You're going to be, a little bit wonky and wacky. No one asks the question, why does ChatGPT and the other computers, why are they hallucinating? Because they don't get any rest.
Wow.
They're modeled after the brain, right? So they say, okay, the brain doesn't sleep, but the brain knows during times of rest,
right,
how to rejuvenate itself based on the chemicals that it releases, that washes the brain, resets the brain, recalibrates it, right? You have cells that die during sleep, and then you have cells that are reborn. That's why it's called a somatic death. Every night you die to be reborn.
Right.
Hence the fact that when people get up and they say good morning, and there's a whole controversy in this community about that, I think that we're separating the science and just jumping on terms. Yeah, it is a good morning.
It's a morning, yeah, and you're waking.
Because we woke up from death to a new life, and some people didn't wake up at all.
That's right.
Right? So it is a good morning, and it is a waking. You know what I'm saying? And it is correlated. Yeah, sleep is the cousin of death. And if you don't get it, you're going to die sooner.
Right.
They didn't tell you that part in the hip hop song.
Oh my God.
No, literally. While we at it, let me just finish.
No, please get in. Get in.
In the 90s in New York, after Nas came out with that theme, and a lot of people, my peers in particular, were chasing fame in the music industry. They were following the dictates of this man called P. Diddy. And P. Diddy said, you don't sleep. He only slept a few hours, where he failed to leave out.
Right. Right.
With the pill popping that was involved for him not to be able to, he didn't tell people I was wired. That's why I wasn't sleeping. So I knew perfectly, able-bodied men in particular that was in the industry attempting to keep up with this thing.
Absolutely.
They were breaking day, you know what I'm saying, and destroying their physical selves attempting to keep up with somebody who was being, wired off drugs.
There's so much of that. I remember the Hollywood scene is just, it's different. It's
Very much
different.
so.
You got to have a strong meditation to be in those spaces. Most definitely.
Yep. You better. Yeah, so
Yes. We'll start at the beginning because there's a lot of people listening that are of the older generation, and we want to let them know. Yeah, where did your journey start? Where did you grow up?
I was born in the Bronx, New York, in the year of 1975 to a mother named Annette Thomas and my father Wayne. My mother was a student of my father's. My father is a professor. He teaches English school, and he was teaching night school. My mother was in this class. It wasn't a major age difference. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, I hear you.
He was still teaching. He had just got out of school. He went to Columbia. He was teaching, and she was a student in his class, taking night school for English or what have you. And they made a connection. Long story short, here comes me and my brother Red.
Right.
And we were born in the 75 year of the rabbit, and we started moving around New York. And I remember at the age of 5, my mother was like, I gotta go. She said she was taking us to Disney World, matter of fact. Right? Pack your bags, we're going to Disney World. So me and Red packed up and we went to the airport, and we leave just to find out that it wasn't Disney World we were going to. We were going to St. Croix. And I remember landing, and they put us on a one of them banana boats and joints.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not no, I'm sorry. And the planes that with the if planes on the water or something.
Like a helicopter on the water or the plane, yeah.
Yeah, one of them joints that you just like, this ain't Disney World, like, what's going on? And lo and behold, she was taking us back to the home of her parents, her mother, her father, from St. Croix, and she was pregnant with my younger brother, KT. And she was having complications during her pregnancy, blood complications. She was low in iron. She was iron deficient, so it was really taxing her body. My mother had recently lost a child right before that. She lost a daughter at the age of 3. This was maybe a year or 2 before, we were conceived. She was still going through a grieving process, so she really needed to relax her mind and her body.
True.
She went back to the land of her ancestors, St. Croix's paradise.
It's beautiful.
Our ancestors, they actually own 200 plus acres in St. John's, and we are in court right now with the Rockefellers for thievery. You know what I'm saying? For about 100 something of those acres. So, long story short, she goes back to the land of her ancestors, and
yeah, you landed on that boat.
She a friend of hers that was on the island prior to her says, if you need iron, I have someone that you can see who has some amazing herbs that have high concentrations of iron content in them. So at 9 p.m., she took my mother on a journey that took my mother up a mountain in a rainforest to the top of a mountain where she encountered a man named Dr. Sabi. And she said that she sat at his feet until the hours of 4 a.m. listening to this brother speak. And she was enamored by this conversation, and she felt that she found the community she was always looking for, because she wanted to work in the ways of her grandparents, and her grandparents were bushwomen.
I love it.
And Sabi was able to diagnose by smacking the bottom of her foot that the anemia was setting in. And he loaded her up with, containers of herbs that had the iron compound. I believe it was Maya is what they called it at that time. That was the product that him and his wife, Ma'a, at the time were making for, I don't remember whether it was fig tree. I forget what they were called at the time specifically. And Ucha was just a baby, so there was no Ucha Herbal Research Institute. It was just, what they had on the island.
Right.
So, long story short, my younger brother is born, and my mother's now part of their operation. And, Sabi's raising KT like he's his own baby.
Wow.
And, and that's why my younger brother KT is very proficient to this day in all things, biology, herbology, and everything. He's been studious since since the womb to the tomb. So,
Yeah.
that was that narrative. We stayed there in St. Croix from
Somebody's asking if it's sarsaparilla. Is it sarsaparilla? Someone in the a cough drop was asking, is it sarsaparilla?
Is what sarsaparilla they're asking?
I think they were the item you were trying to remember, the herb.
The iron with the actual iron content. It was a compound full of iron. Like I said, the actual compound that they have packaged today that they sell, they call it Maya. I don't know if they were referring to it as Maya back then, but this was Maya is the compound that he has made of iron phosphate as opposed to iron oxide,
Right.
which is a lot of women take iron pills that comes from iron ore and it binds women. This iron comes from the actual plants, burdock root, and a bunch of the other plants that have high concentrations of iron is what he
More
was using to
digestible.
create
Right.
concoctions. Yes. So they got their thing going on the island of St. Croix. They were doing the healing. I remember I went to visit my father. We were about 11 or 12, and he had just moved to Brooklyn. And the first time I visited Brooklyn to see my father, I did not go back to St. Croix after that.
Okay.
I was enamored with Brooklyn. Brooklyn grabbed a hold of us and it never let go.
Wow.
And I tell the story, so I'm gonna tell it. You know what I'm saying? And then my father introduced me to my first Big Mac, and it was a wrap. I mean, that's just what it is, and it's part of my journey, and I'm not condoning it.
Hey, no, it's part of it. It's important.
When we
That's
talk
what we
about
want to hear.
texture, those chemicals, and we talk about all of these other things, they hit me with a Big Mac and vanilla shake. Let's put the fries in there too, because
okay.
all of this was transcendental at the time. I come from eating rice patties,
Right.
and Seymour soup with Sabi in them, right? the Big Mac fries with the milkshake.
Yeah. Yeah. The hat trick. That was it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm hanging out. You know what I'm saying? And then you're in St. Croix, you're exposed to the Caribbean elements. It's December, it's 90 degrees. They want to celebrate Christmas. They got glass Christmas trees like this big.
Come on now.
Big Johnny cake, Christmas coming. Everybody getting the Christmas spirit. And I'm like, this ain't no. I'm like, Santa ain't coming down. He's not. What we doing here?
What? Yeah. I hear that.
That white Christmas in New York on Fifth Avenue, and nothing like it. So I'm just telling you, where all the spells is at, they be working.
That's funny.
The joint had me, man. It had me. My father's an atheist, but you know what I'm saying? That he put that tree up, and them gifts be under that tree come Christmas. So he plays Santa during Christmas. He don't believe in none of that stuff, but
I hear you.
My father's a folk traditionalist, so if he's like, yo, if it's something U.S. based, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? He understood the assignment. So, just being honest, this is what happened. And these are the things, you know what I'm saying, that kind of became this is my story.
Did you see yourself here? Did you see yourself as such a keeper? Not a keeper. I don't like that word, but a sharer of knowledge. Where was your?
Again, my father at that time, and still to this day, one of the smartest people that I know. So I was introduced to, immersive research. So he would take us to the museums, he would take us to the zoos, he would take us to all institutions of learning. And he had us reading the New York Times, not the Daily News or the New York Post. He had us reading the New York Times. You know what I'm saying? And then questions you on what you read. Bought us the Encyclopedia Britannica. Just one of the smartest people that I knew, and I definitely wanted to emulate his level of intelligence. So I knew that I wanted to do something that involved some aspect of teaching.
Beautiful.
Then, you know, so my mother and Sabian them come up afterwards to open up in Brooklyn, right? Usha Urba. So I'm like, oh, I was already here. Like,
Right, right.
I guess I got the drop on it because y'all ended up in Brooklyn anyway. And being around Sabi, you know, growing up and watching Sabi and watching him how he moved and everything, I always wanted to aspire to be a healer to some degree. I never wanted to do what he did though, because it just would look like I was just doing to him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Second gen, yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to build upon the legacy, but never follow directly in that specific footstep.
Right. Okay.
Along the way, yeah, I had to figure out now how do I merge these two to become a unique version of myself based on what I understood later on. I had unique exposure to circumstances that other people did not have. I didn't know this growing up. You feel me? Because when we got back to New York and to Brooklyn, we went into the streets.
Right.
You know, I hopped off the porch at the age of 13, and I would be willing to do that until I could figure out that I couldn't have done it, you know, for long anymore. But that was probably one of the most adventurous times of my life because, you know, it was the hero's journey. We was sowing our oats and we were learning things on our own. You know,
right.
We were outside of the confines of our home and the direction of our family. It was dangerous, but we survived. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And because of that, it gave us a lot of personal character. It gave us a lot of ability to make decisions on a quick. And this is where my consciousness developed. You know, my consciousness developed in those places because you had to be aware of your surroundings. Consciousness is awareness. I had to be hyper aware of what was going on at all times. You had to have hyper hearing. You had to have hyper sight.
True.
And then when I got into, you know, like, for lack of a better term, a criminal lifestyle, you know, we were playing cops and robbers every day with the literal, you know, police. So
right.
That level of adventure, that level of rebelliousness, that level of convincing yourself that, you know, not necessarily that you're above the law, but these are man-made institutions, and I just saw so much hypocrisy growing up that I was just like, yeah, I knew my history. I was doing the research. My father was filling my head up with, you know what I'm saying, things that we needed to know. So we were very rebellious, and I'll just leave it at that. But for the right reasons, you know, I call it righteous rebelliousness.
Well, there's a place for that.
Participating in something that I call retail reparations.
I love it. Woo, I love it. I love it. Real OG shit.
Take back the cotton, you know? My people toiled and worked hard for this.
It's so true.
I'll be damned if I'm finna pay for it.
I hear that, especially the cotton shirt. Wow. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. And I have to mention that I was listening to some of your other interviews and I heard the story with Brother 19 Keys about being inside and wanting to fast and that experience. And yeah, hats off to you. You know, that rebellious spirit that grows and turns into a pillar.
Yeah.
You know,
something. Yeah, again, and my eureka moments in terms of seeing my own internal fortitude has come with me going against authority and ultimately winning on my own terms.
Right.
You know, and again, this is not condoning anybody out there to live on the edge. You feel me? But I'm just saying in my narrative, in my story, that's where I continuously would throw myself to the fire when it came to this invincibility factor that was portrayed about the Western man in particular, you know, the colonizer or what have you. I continuously had to test his chin. Right, and when I convinced myself at an early age that he had a glass chin, you know, that eliminated me from going into the lion's den and taking food out of the lion's mouth.
Right.
And I think that that foundation pretty much set us up for, what we were able to do later on in life, which has now rippled itself a billion times over around the planet. If they have commercial feeds on spaceships and in different dimensions beyond the ice wall, if they can receive a transmission, they have benefited from some of this information that we have brought to this planet to shake people up out of a state of slumber.
That's right.
It's ironic that my name is Blue Pill, and that's the irony of it all. Because for my entire career, I've been waking people up and pulling them out of the matrix. You know what I'm saying? But again, I chose that name as a diversion tactic to throw people off, because you got to go beyond just the cover. You got to go beyond just the name. We can't be who we claim to be in name alone. I always say that.
Wow.
You feel me? And people be so concerned with the name. I'm like, well, what about the works? What about the person?
True, true.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
Did you put that on the scale or weigh that out yet?
Right.
They just be caught up in the name. So I already knew. I knew from the door, you know what I'm saying? What type of people we were about to deal with and what they were finna fall for or go for versus, the necessary discernment that's needed to choose. All right, this is the information that I want to listen to because it resonates with me on this level.
Right.
Not just based on the face and the name. When we started Blog Talk, which we did for 7 years from 2010 to 2010 to 2017, that was on the radio. That was on the internet. That was the first form of podcasting.
Right.
It was not visual. We did not want people to see our face and get enamored by a look and get caught up in personality. It was never about that until it was about that.
Right.
And that was the YouTube era. You know what I'm saying? And I still never bought into that. I mean, by me putting my face on the camera, I was not modeling or advertising it. And I came from the industry of modeling and advertising.
Right.
But I didn't bring that into this.
Right, right.
It was always about the works. You know what I'm saying? Or the product, because I'm an entrepreneur and I was one of the very first people in the community to come out with product, And I understood that. Look, we have to produce something. Right. We have to take this information from just being visceral and actually apply it to something. Right. So people was talking about CMOS and they were speaking about Sabi CMOS, and I'm like, you, where you gonna get it from?
Right.
Right. So I'm gonna make this drink and I'm gonna make it accessible, and I'm not even gonna tell you that it's medicine, and you're gonna love it so much. You're gonna come back and tell me about all of the things that it did for you, and you're gonna want more. That's my approach. That's right. I still had my homies in the street, and then I had these conscious folk that needed help, and I'm like, how can I qualify my time to assist both of them collectively? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it was just make something that tastes great.
Right. Right.
All of that other stuff comes after the fact. If it don't taste great, you're gonna get put into the health bin. Because I brought my product out on my birthday, November 14th, 2009, at a Dr. Sabi lecture in New York City. Shout out to King Simon. This also, ironically, was the very first place that Polite took the stage and spoke for the very first time in front of the community.
Wow.
But this was 2009 on my birthday, November 14th, and I debuted Seven Heaven CMOS. And it still is known today. And again, just now what I'm saying, as the best CMOS movie on the planet.
That's right.
I'm looking for somebody that got something better than I can make, so I can just be a customer. But it hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened.
Again, I created this product in 2009. So for me to see CMOS pop off finally in 2020, you know what I mean? I moved myself. And ironically, let's speak about it, because today is 3/11. So 13 years ago was Fukushima. And the people that now were familiar with Fukushima, there was an earthquake in Japan that created a tsunami, and the tsunami hit the coast of Japan, and that coast had a nuclear reactor on the coast, which was horrible engineering. Nonetheless, they had a nuclear reactor that got impacted by an earthquake / tsunami, and it cracked the reactor, and there has been radioactive material leaking since March 11th, 2011. Don't let them tell you no different. They have been spilling radioactive content into the ocean. And now they just did wholesale dumping of it last year. They was dumping before that.
Right.
And then they're coming in and tell you about global warming. No, the ocean is getting hotter and warmer because you're
Okay.
putting radioactive material in it and you're destroying and killing the ocean. And they have all of these different excuses and reasons why, there's things happening around this planet. Let's start there with Fukushima. So I was reading all of this because I was a journalist even then, right?
Right. Of course.
And this is the stuff I was blogging and I was writing about. And I was keeping abreast myself because this is the ocean. My company was called Ocean 14 Corp. So I'm very much concerned with what's going on in the ocean.
Right.
I'm like, this is where my sea moss comes from.
Right.
So I knew that it was impacting the Pacific Ocean in particular because of where Japan is at. And I'm reading reports that it started showing up. Shout out to my sister Rhonda. She's in the chat. Her master teacher is an ancestor now. Her name is Mata G. And she was a top tier global spiritualist. Like she was part of, like, when the Dalai Lama and them come to America, they come to her crib. But she had a ashram in South Central Los Angeles.
Okay.
Right? She was just, like top notch with what it is that she does. And she put the word out from her spiritual community. She said that the spirits are being impacted at the bottom of the ocean. I don't, again, I'm going to speak about things that are probably hard for some people to perceive if they're not familiar. But the mermaids and just the orishas and the entities that are at the bottom of the ocean were being impacted. They said that the radioactive material was now seeping into their domain
territory,
and it was disrupting their territory. So we did a series of shows with Mata G on my program where we were doing prayers for the ocean, and we were calling all spiritual and light workers to put forth prayers and to concentrate on, doing something to avert the disaster that was taking place in the ocean.
Right.
Right. I took it upon myself to move to the West Coast to administer CMOS to people, right? Give them a remedy to something that they didn't even know was taking place.
Right.
Because our people are migrated from the South that occupy areas of the Midwest and the West. So people who occupy the West Coast regions of this country, they people from Louisiana, mostly from the Mississippi Delta. So those people have a heavy diet that's consistent of seafood. So they were dumping radioactive seafood on our people specifically. Who's going to get the worst food first?
People right there. Yeah.
Right? You're going to take it right to the hood. So here I go attempting to get in between that process. And I'm telling people about CMOS. But Dr. Sabi didn't have a name yet. And it's funny, I read this article. It was like, they were speaking about his time and his presence in LA. I was around him then. Like, people didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, the neighborhood knew who Dr. Sabi was.
Right.
And he had already been with Michael Jackson and Eddie Murphy. So the celebrities knew, but the normal, average, melanated person had no idea who Dr. Sabi was, what the word vegan meant. You know what I'm saying? What CMOS was. And the way that the West Coast of America works, if you are not co-signed or condoned by a guru, a teacher, or something to that degree, then it's overlooked. They're not running with it. Especially their conscious community is not necessarily powered by the melanated conscious community. It trickles down. It's powered by the European conscious community. And David Wolf and all of their master teachers and gurus have a stronghold on veganism in that particular vein during that time. That's what was going on. So I'm out there, doing everything that I can to educate people about the benefits of CMOS during that time, because it helps with the thyroid. It has the highest concentration of iodine of any plant, right? Brown algae, brown green algae, I believe is the family it belongs to, but that particular, so you're talking kelp, you're talking your Bladderwracks, and you're talking, your chondrous crispus, which is your CMOS, they have the highest concentration of iodine. The radiation is going to affect people's
Thyroid,
thyroids,
for
so
sure.
that the iodine is going to help reset that. Our people already have hypothyroid issues because they're being radiated from everything else.
And for some of the, just to interject, some of the listeners over here, depending on what ville you live in, when you move and buy a house there, then the car companies are automatically giving you those iodine pills in case. It's not the car companies alone, but the nuclear factories are in those villes. So
In the villas, right?
people are being given these iodine pills to keep at home in case of a fallout.
Right. But, that's just them saying all nuclear reactors seep. You don't need a
Exactly.
fallout to be impacted by nuclear
Exactly.
reactors. They all naturally seep. So you should be taking the pills regardless, or testing to see whether you have hypothyroidism or
Right.
issues with your thyroid if you live near a nuclear reactor.
Right. Right.
Right? So, yeah, these are the things, once again, education-wise, if we're not educating ourselves, we're waiting for people to drop it on us, and it's not going to happen until after the fact.
That's right.
So, I say all that to say that I was very amused by what I saw during the years of 2020 with the quote-unquote pandemic that started today,
Right.
years ago.
Exactly. Acknowledge that.
So C-19 starts 3/11, and 3/11 is also the anniversary of Fukushima. I'll leave it up to the people to figure out how those two are connected.
Right.
And then you got the earthquake in Haiti. I think that was 111 or 112. But, even seeing the situation where it's at right now with Haiti, that's another conversation that we could get into as well.
There's so much to get into. I just saw some of the info on that. That's crazy. Oh, wow. You know what? There's so much that I want to ask. You mentioned the ice wall, and that got me interested, and all my questions just went, yeah. But I wonder about the location of Canada. I wonder about our land mass and the importance of geologically where we are.
The importance of it?
Yeah, what correlation there is to the grand scheme of things of Canada, or why, there might be.
It might be. Go ahead.
No, there's any focus on the land, or of wanting to have that land in terms of just current stage events that have been happening, or geologically, what's the energy of Canada or where we are?
Again, Canada is the northernest part of the Americas, which is a continent. We are all, considered the same landmass with fictional borders. There's no physical borders to separate the United States from Canada, or to separate the United States from Mexico. Right? So this is all one consistent landmass. What we have to understand about the prominence of Canada, because it still comes under the control of the crown, right, is this is definitely going to be the staging ground of freeing up the Americas. And the way that the Americas have to be freed up is the rescinding of the doctrine of discovery. And I'll tell you why that's so key, right? And again, I've seen somebody they keep talking about Columbus and discover America. I'm like, yo, get your terminology together. Granted, I'm saying these are all of the same things that I once, I parroted those same conscious talking. These are conscious tropes and talking points.
Right.
Columbus and discover America. People is already here. They're making reference to the doctrine of discovery, my guy. Go a little bit deeper, right? Understand what the doctrine of discovery is. The first piece of international binding law that gives white supremacy its operating authority to this day. It was the first piece of international legislation, right? They call it a papal bull. The Intercatera of 1493 passed on May 4th by Pope Alexander VI. He said what? If you go and encounter indigenous peoples in the New World and they do not prescribe to Jesus Christ being your Lord and Savior, take their land and take everything from them. Kill them, kill the blades of glass, kill the dogs, do whatever you got to do, but take their land under the authority of the crown.
Right.
And the cross.
Following.
So on July 25th of 2022, which is considered in the Mayan calendar to be the day out of time. It's a 0 day, meaning anything can happen on this day.
Okay.
Right? Because the Mayans have glyphs prescribed to every single day, and those glyphs show you the frequency of those days.
Merrick's, yeah.
July 25th is the day at a time. Okay, it's a 0 day. That's the day that Pope Francis came to Canada, right? And he was on stage with those 4 chiefs, and they knocked his goddamn yarmulke off and put a war bonnet on his head, right? In esoteric circles, right? Because we're talking about symbolism. We understand that as the day that they cut the head off of the Pope. They beheaded the Pope. Whether they knew it or not, whether it was intentional or not. You can't touch the top. You can't touch the head of the Pope. That is what connects him as the vicegerent to the creator, or their quote, the God of the Christian church. He is the Godhead on this planet. You can't touch the Godhead.
Simple.
They knocked off the Godhead and put a war bonnet on the Godhead. Right? Everything has been haywire ever since. The Queen died right after that. The Benedict died at the end of the year.
Wow.
He was in a wheelchair now, right? He couldn't even walk back back to Rome after that visit to Canada. They had to wheel him back in the wheelchair. So what happened? He came and he denounced
himself, yeah.
The doctrine of discovery. They didn't rescind it. He denounced it. And the church said he's speaking for himself because he can't speak for us. All of a sudden, the Pope can't speak for the church. See, I don't think people are doing their homework to see where the pressure points is at. They might have got a victory and don't even know it because they're totally oblivious, right, to the symbolism of what's taking place. The Pope said, I apologize, because that's when he came to speak about the children and the mission. He didn't denounce the doctrine when he was there. My bad. That came last year. We did a lecture called When in Rome, 44 days later. That's when he denounced it. We did it on February 13th. Y'all can count and see what 44 days is after that. You can Google the date. Look it up yourselves, family. And, I'm not being facetious or condescending. I'm just saying this was the pattern.
Right.
When he came to Canada, he came to speak about the Canadian children, the indigenous First Nation children who got killed in the mission.
That was right.
And he came to apologize for that, which was BS, right? Because what just happened right before that during 2020, when the quote unquote, thing hit, when C-19 hit, the First Nations of Canada was the first ones to get hit.
For sure.
They isolated them, right? And then they did what? There was controversy about the road, so they were stuck there. Then when they got the Jews, they went and seen them first. So it's interesting, if you look at the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, that's where the power is at, right? The UN actually gives indigenous people their powers back if you are operating as an indigenous person and you have a right to your own medicine. So they violated them under their UNDRIP because they told them that you couldn't access your indigenous medicines, you had to use the juice.
Right.
So right there, you got them on a major violation.
Right.
If we had our heads together, we got them on the ropes, and they got to pay reparations for that.
Right.
And there was 4 people who did not sign up for this. All 4 of them violated their First Nation populations first. Canada, United States, New Zealand, and Australia.
Right.
Those are the 4 people who were not signees initially of the UNDRIP, which stands for the United Nations Declaration of Rights for Indigenous People. Look it up. That's how you get your quote-unquote redress back in the system in international court. You can't do it through their courts. Right? And if we had our heads together, we could get together as indigenous people, because they said this applies to all indigenous peoples. Who's considered indigenous people?
Go in.
Those people got to answer that themselves.
Right.
So if you Taino, Arawak, Carib, if you're in the Caribbean, you know what I'm saying, and you consider yourself indigenous people,
you are
still,
indigenous.
Practicing the ways of your ancestors in any way, you come under these particular designations. We can come together as a nation of class action and, knock these people out the box. So when he came to Canada and he made that, announcement, they put the war bonnet on him and they were protesting while he was there, rescind the doctrine, right? All of the First Nation indigenous people that were protesting, you know what I'm saying, and explaining to him that until you rescind this doctrine, you know what I mean, we cannot get the legal redress that we need as an indigenous people, nor can we get the stain of colonialism off of us, because that is the operating authority of which white supremacy practices around the planet. Now you can see what they're doing over in Israel, how they are operating in that capacity to take people's land and disenfranchise indigenous populations.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one understood what took place in the 15, 16, and 17, and 18, and 1900s, you can turn your TV on right now and see it in Palestine.
Facts.
There's no difference.
Yep.
So
deep words.
So Canada is key. Canada's the pressure point. This fight that we're speaking about is not necessarily taking place in the confines of the United States. There's more energy around it in Canada with those that, you know, indigenous groups that have these people on the ropes, because you got to hit the crown and the cross collectively. The people over here are totally dismissive. They don't even see the crown. They see the shit on Netflix. They don't understand. They're delusional. They have no idea that the crown has a hand in this.
Right.
They don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Canada.
So they're fighting, you know, they're in the shadows fighting in the corner.
Wrong corner. Wrong corner.
Come out your corner and get in the center of the ring. You fighting the wrong people.
Words to take home. Yep.
And they like, look at the corporation.
And they're watching you waste your time.
Every other place, but nobody ever says, look at the church, ironically, right? And the doctrine of discovery is a papal bull that came down from the Pope himself. Who you think was giving them authority to run around the planet and take people's land? They were running down civilizations that had empires, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were plentiful. They were able to fill the entire coffers of Spain just off of a mountain that they robbed silver and copper from out of Mexico. They were able to create a level of largesse in Europe that had never been seen before, and they still living off of that today.
Right.
Just from stripping some of these mountains down. That's how much minerals they had in them. Silver and copper and gold. Right? Them people over there was barren. They don't got nothing.
Wow.
So you think that the church wasn't complicit?
Of course.
In them taking people's stuff? But nobody talks about them when they want to get redress or reparations or repair. They don't put one and two together, because then that's going to start raising some other kind of questions that people don't face.
For sure.
But I digress.
Little more the cranberry. Sharp. Oh my gosh. It's such a pleasure speaking with you. We could go so many places with this, but I do want to make sure to have our listeners hear some of the music that you sent in. Please tell us a little bit about the musical journey that you have been on.
Me and my brother started doing music, I think 2011, around that same time. We've been around music all our lives, and dipped and dabbled in different aspects and facets of it. But actually, like, getting involved, and we were invited to get on the track with the brother Black Dot and a friend of mine named KB, the Ghetto Shaman, and just started and never stopped. You know, I had a love for it. I'm naturally a poet. I've always wrote poetry and things of that nature. And I didn't necessarily ever see the need and necessity to be an artist, because I was always a fan of the music, and the art was always given and delivering. I was much more comfortable being in the audience or having a camera, doing interviews with these artists. But when the music got to a place where it wasn't given at all, it was not delivering, and then you know, we were dabbling with topics and information that the typical rapper just wasn't delved in necessarily. We was like, yeah, let's take matters in our own hand, you know what I'm saying, and do our own thing. And that's what it kind of helped spawn this movement that we were part of called the God Hop movement. Shout out to Cyrock and Soul Messiah. Um, we all started that up around 2011 as well, just to give context and reference to this new energy that was being brought into the music industry that was being helmed by people that were active participants to stirring the pot of consciousness.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I see in the chat here it says I think it's from Hip Hop PDX. Shout out 2011 was given Chief Keef era.
Yeah. 2012 more so with Chief Keef. Remember, Chief Keef pops off right after Trayvon Martin gets killed in February 2013 during February 2012, should I say, during the All-Star game is when Trayvon gets killed. And then they had a fake Negro outrage in this country about that. And then Chief Keef comes out, right, with this anthemic songs about the killing of other young black males with, these little runts with their shirts off, and it becomes a hit. And I'll be like, Black lives don't matter to drill rappers. Black lives don't matter to battle rappers. So who you telling Black Lives Matter to? Right? I'm from the same streets you from.
I hear you.
What we talking about? For real though. I mean, it sounds cute for the camera.
True,
but
true.
Over here celebrating Black Death. There's nothing more attractive than Black Death.
Right.
We belong to death culture. Let's be clear. So, yeah, that was around the Chief Keef era. You know what I'm saying? Give or take 2012.
Okay.
Chief Keef came along and called BS on it. That's all. That's all they did. The great divine speaks through signs, right? And again, so as cultural curators, you're taking all of these litmus tests and you're noticing the nuances. You're seeing where the cracks and the fissures exist. So I knew the drill was going to catch on later on. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And where you see there's work to be done.
Huh?
Go ahead. Where you see there's work to be done, it's got to be done.
Again, we're missing all of the blind spots.
Yeah.
And we're terrible people when it comes to nuances. We don't get in front of things. We wait for them to run off the tracks, and then we start chasing down the runaway train. You feel me? It's too late to set back the hands of time. So we have to get in front of these things. We allow so many things to fester and foster in our presence while we over here doing this. And it's like, pay attention to the children. Listen to their conversations. Why are they attracted to this stuff?
Sure.
Why are they magnetized to it? What's going on in their lives that they're expressing this level of hatred?
Right. It's funny, even I looked at some of the music videos that are out now. There's no way I'm going to have mine watching some of them. The amount of devil worship symbology that is just blatant in music now, it just shocked me. Because I'm here doing radio. I don't turn on the TV that often. And then when I see it, it's so extreme.
Yeah, it's explicit at this point in time. It's all out. And it's like, again, how did it get this way? If we weren't asleep at the wheel,
absolutely, it's on that.
Because all of this was built up in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And now it's here, and it's culture, and it's youth culture. How do you erase
that?
It's part of their memory. Even if some divine intervention happened,
it's still there at the core. It's still there.
It's part of their memory. They can relapse into it. Same way that you can. You can't stop yourself from your happy feet from moving when you hear R. Kelly.
Right. Still stepping. Right.
We don't understand the nuances. We do not understand science. We're people that are supposed to be descended from the people who created science. We don't understand science.
So true. Oh man, you got me. Which one am I playing first or tonight? Which one am I playing? What are we gonna talk about? Last breath, breathless, money and power.
Let's do Money and Power. This is the first single off of me and my brother's mixtape called The 48 Pillars of Power. And that is going to be a book with a 4-part series book with music that's going to come along with it, accompanying it. and it's going to reset the 48 laws of power, which is a Greco-Roman perspective on power and capitalism, for lack of a better term. But now that capitalism is dead, and we're creating a new version and a new form of it, we want to approach these laws from a comedic, indigenous perspective, like what would the Emerald Tablets say? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we are reframing and refurbishing those laws where they will be more equitable with our mind state. And there's going to be accompanying music to go along with it. This is our first single. It's called Money and Power. And it's a mixtape. So we used industry beats that were hot at the time. And this beat comes from a track that was done by Meek Mill and Rick Ross called Shaq and Kobe, I believe.
Okay.
And this is around the time that our brother D1 was calling these artists out, and these artists had a negative response just for someone saying, you guys should have more responsibility and accountability because of the people that are listening, and you can't be for prison reform and then be killing people at the same time.
Right.
Make it make sense.
Right.
Maybe you could make it make sense, but I want to hear it. So he called them out, and he got a negative response, and he started threatening him and just acting very adolescent to as if they was beyond reproach. So we was like, let's get on this beat and take it from them.
Wow.
And if they want to come and get it, they got to come through us. I just didn't like the way that they started dealing with the young brother for speaking, and he got the last laugh ultimately, as we could see. But yeah, that's the energy that this was the first track that we recorded for this project, and we had a lot to say. So
I'm hyped. I'm ready for it.
One of the ones, yeah.
I love it. I love that. The militancy, like you said, it's been there from the beginning.
And then the war was, the situation had popped off, over there.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
With the scientists. And I had to do it. My cathartic process is writing and expressing, and the emotion and the energy will tear me up until I'm able to crystallize it into, it's almost like capturing a genie in a bottle. So when I'm able to write it out and stand on top of it, then I'm no longer, like
grappling with it.
It no longer has control.
Right.
I have control over it,
Wow.
So, yeah, I had a lot that needed to be said, and I wanted to find a very artistic way to say it because I was being censored. I lost my channel on YouTube, unfortunately, for some content that I created that I felt was very respectful. I approached it in a very professional manner, in a collegiate, strategic way. I kind of explained some things that I was observing.
Right.
But like they're so petty and they're so touchy. They just don't want you to tell the truth at all.
No,
You know what I mean?
that's a huge risk, and we know that.
So they snatched my channel for that, and so I was like, I need to find another way artistically to get this expression out. And in art, you can encroach a lot of what it is that you are attempting to say or do. A lot of it is protected under the auspices of art. So you need to put some of that in whatever form of art that you choose to express yourself through. And that's where your protection comes from.
Ooh. I love that you took it a step further, and that's where your protection comes from. We've definitely been speaking about the need and the requirement, the duty to create art in these times and to document what we are experiencing so that we have our story. But knowing that as well, it becomes your protection. That's next level.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
I rock with it. I'm excited. We're going to take a little break and play this one, Money and Power, and we're going to come back and talk about it, rap about it.
Cheer. I'm bearing witness to these Jews trying to break the rules. They take the news, forsake the truth, and try to make us fools. The paper used to make the news when they make a move. They hate to lose, create a rules like every shade of blue. If we don't hate the Jews, we hate the views. If we forsake the moves incapable, we make with Jews. Debate with who, that paper move in every state approved. I make a super Jacob's crew, that's how they make a move. And they been eating off a plate of food. Since eating was the place to move, you know, trace the clues. The paper trail to make the mill and make the race prevail. They hate the bill, their faces pale, but they paper blue. And we ain't shitting on you misinformed. I seen the clip this morning of the kid that's gone with a missing on. The shit is wrong, using kids as porn. Kids was wrong, special launch, they wanna drop a bigger bomb. All that money and power, is it bump to the powder? Who's the one that's in power? And it coming the powers, even sons is devoured. Shit don't run like no coward, yeah, the summer is ours. You loud in the blunts with the sour. The hood is off, the fangs is out, the hood is lost, they're banging out. Collision toss, they're ringing out. Like Ricky Ross, the fangs is out, they clip the boss, his brains is out. The stick was tossed, they stained them out. All that money and power, is it bump to the powder? Who's the one that's in power? And it coming the powers, even sons is devoured. Shit don't run like no coward, yeah, the summer is ours. All that money and power, is it bump to the powder? Who's the ones that's in power? And it coming the powers, even sons is devoured. Shit don't run like no coward, yeah, the summer is ours. The day when the messiahs came, y'all was trying to catch a flight on a liar's plane. Yeah, the fire flames, shit is burning like the liar danes. From that David and Goliath fame, God bless all them sweet Sadies. God bless all them sweet babies. Cerebus escape from Hades. They killing all them babies, they killing all them ladies. The Philistines crying like they Billie Jean. The Philly teams waking up to killing scenes. We living in the prophecies of Philistines. Them niggas popping perkies won't live to see the day of the turkey giveaway. Just see if a day we had 30 giveaways. Parada little liquor, one of them 50 niggas pocket floored. You one of them 50 niggas pocket floored. Rockets floor. It's shocking that we had to use shocking more. Just to shock your whore. Scarface at the table with the block of war. Bobby and the Whitney come and lock your jaws. Pockets poor, now them pockets sore. We living in dystopia and the prophet saw. I ain't gon' hold you niggas, we told you niggas. You better stop fucking with the pills. They silencing the lambs like they Buffalo Bills. More kills than the Buffalo Bills. Or the Buffalo kids with the scorpion shields. High marks like the fields on the Buffalo Bills. I'm standing at the gates of a ruined state, When I spoke on this shit, they said that I was spewing hate. So what's the excuse of late? Now that we doing great, please excuse my face. Gas chambers, every story has a chapter. This the last chamber. Yeah, I sat by the doors, and all of them spooks are spooky. They addicted to that soft light, years giving pookie. This is New Jack City and years giving Keisha and Suzuki. I just do the right thing and they say it's giving Mookie. The way that blue be flexing, they say it's giving Tukey. You do know, talking about the boss that get you lost. Y'all just find your fault, yeah, you dripping, but them coroners, they had to hit the floors. Many think that I'm using Henny sink, but it's just that Henny drinks, and it sounds like a bore. It's gully and it's gods are at war, yeah, that's my type of law. We ate the shrooms with 8 maroons and Jamaican goons. And Great Saloon, we shaking rooms, watching nature bloom. They made my dudes by like some pools in the Great Lagoon. I made it cool to break the news and some gator shoot. We breaking rules, we was late to school. As April Fools with the fools try to make their moves. We paid our dues like Vegas dues when
You know.
Yeah. You know.
That's gonna be our high rotation. Oh my god.
You know, and one more thing, this was also a response. Our brother Andre 3000, he came out with his album, and we're the same age, you know, we're 48. And he's like, what I'm be rapping about? I'm 48 years old. And that's raps. And I took that personal. And I was like, with all of this that's going on, brother,
there's a lot to say.
Personal to the degree where I'm like, I'm going to get at you, Andre. That's one of my favorite artists. I had a lot of faith in his ability to make observations and put it in poetic prose. But he said he had nothing to talk about or ways to speak on. I was just like, look, man, let me just...
I felt the same way.
Let me speak on it, yeah. Let me make sure I ain't got that problem. So that was also a catalyst for us to go ballistic, you know, with things that need to be said and new ways to formulate and say them, imploring and exploring new styles and new variants. Hip hop is so fun in its 50th year. I want to have all of the fun, possible with the art form.
Absolutely.
Because the young guys are not bringing it, what I'm saying, the way that they're supposed to. So I'm like, yeah,
set the tone.
I like the idea of 40 plus year old rap. You know what I'm saying? We're seasoned veterans. We've seen a lot.
Absolutely.
We're wise in our ways in terms of, the spaces and the places that we've been. So it's like, why should we not relay this information in a format that's digestible to
that middle ground?
A plenty full of peoples.
That's right. And that's definitely in your music and your tone and everything. And you can speak to the younger generation, the older generation, and still relate and bridging that gap. Yeah, so it's beautiful.
They got to keep up. It's like I don't have to keep up with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They got to hit that stage. They got to do it all. You know what I mean? They got to do it all. And it's not competition. It's us reminding one another that, this is in unison. I don't want to make, I'm not targeting to make music specifically for 19-year-olds. And that doesn't mean that they don't need music or they don't need a message or they're not inclusive in the conversation. It means that this is music being made by 48-year-olds and we have a broad audience in mind. But I'm not attempting to come across or sound like I'm 19.
Nah, you don't need to.
Okay? Yeah.
Timeless indeed. While we were playing that track, I think it was J_Lane 10 was asking if it's possible for you to speak on your trip to Mexico and what you learned in the live Bible sessions.
Live. Those are two separate things.
Yeah, but in the comments there, I was like, "What's this?"
Bible sessions in Mexico.
Maybe they were separate.
Recent trip to Mexico.
I think so.
In 2012. We took 36 people to the pyramids of Mexico in 2012 for September. It was like the end of summer, beginning of fall. It was the end of September. I remember September 22nd to 27th. We did a trip where we went to Cozumel. We went to the Mayan ruins. And, it was tied into the whole 2012 calendar event.
That's right.
December 21st. We wanted to go and tap in. There's a myth. The creation myth of the Mayan people is the mythos of the hero twins.
Okay.
Right? And then outside of the hero twin mythos, you have the mythos of the blue and red Kachina. That's the Hopi prophecy. That's their mythos.
Would you speak on that a little bit for our listeners here? Would you speak on that?
Yeah, I am. I'm setting it up to hit on both.
All right.
So now we're talking landmass, right?
Right.
Now we're talking landmass. So how far did the Mayan influence go up? How far into the Americas? Some people say as far as DC. The Olmecs in particular, they can find Olmec relics all the way up to DC. Forget about Ohio. All of that is filled with relics, filled with pyramids, and the Mound civilization had over 1 million mounds built here. The Mound civilization predates what's considered to be the Indians or the indigenous. They said, look, them people were here before us. They're like, all of them stuff was here when we got here. So the Indians that we see and the Westerns and stuff, they ain't built none of that.
No.
That wasn't them. That's our folk. So I have not yet investigated how much evidence is coming out of Canada in terms of ancient relics that have been found, but they're continuously finding relics on top of relics on top of relics of ancient indigenous cultures that existed here at one point in time. And a lot of it permeates coming from the peninsular region of where the Mayans ultimately would end up being, but they derive from the Olmecs. The Olmecs are believed to have come over when our relatives came from West Africa by way of Abu Bakr, and them came by way of oceanic drifts, currents, or what have you, that will swing you straight from West Africa into the Yucatan Peninsula, right? And this is where they started setting their civilizations up, and then they start moving all through, you know, they start moving all through the Americas, considered to come all the way up towards, like I said, the last that they have traced all the way up towards like DC or what have you.
Right, right.
But the Mayan mythos dealing with the hero twins is that these two hero twins submerge in the underworld, and they have to play a game of basketball, right, in the underworld. But the thing about the basketball games in the underworld is whoever wins gets killed,
Wow.
right? So they had to outwit their evil competitor that they was playing with. They had to outwit him
Right.
and run a roost around him, and they were able, what I'm saying, to be the creators of their world. So there are two twins that are the creators of the entire, what's considered to be the Mayan epic or the Mayan mythos, the hero twins or the Heru twins as we call them. And then again, the Hopi prophecies are dealing with the appearance of a red star. First, the blue star appears first in the skies, right? This blue star appears, and this blue pulsating star is a purifying star, right? Some people say it represents a planet. Some people say it represents an alien civilization, and some people say it represents an avatar. Like I could be the blue star,
Right, right.
because the blue star has to take physical form. It dances in a square. This is again according to the mythos. It removes its mask, right? And that brings about a purification that comes by way of water, right? And then the red star, Kachina, appears, and then that purification comes by way of fire, right?
Wow.
And that is the Hopi prophecy of the red and the blue star, Kachina. And there's been, a lot of different signs in the skies that show the appearance of these red and these blue stars. I like to think, again, that me and my brother represent some aspect of that signaling, of that coming of that time. Also, when I went and sat with the Hopis in 2022 in Arizona, they spoke about, actually, when I was there, they was like, yeah, this is a fulfilling of a prophecy because we were just waiting for the Moors to come back. It's like they have a story that's told to them just thousands of years old about the nations of the family that dispersed and went and traveled all around the world, and they said that they ultimately will come back. And they said the only one that's missing is the Moor. Everybody else has come back into the fold of the nation of families. The only ones missing that have not been accounted for are those Moors. So they showed me secret sites. I mean, it was secret and sacred sites. And the way that I knew that this had not been touched and contaminated by the colonizer, they had fossilized maize that was still in the dirt. They had cave drawings on these caverns. You know what I'm saying? They had things there that
right,
the colonizer would have been
going to leave it there.
and put them in a museum somewhere.
Right.
Feel me? And I just felt so honored that I was still shown a piece of ancient history that the colonizer had not touched and disturbed and disrupted.
Wow.
I felt so honored, and it was an amazing journey. I did that journey in Sedona, barefoot, through the canyons, 4.4 miles, there and back.
Wow.
So again, this is just reconnecting with the land. The spirit of the land of the Americas is called Wakanda.
So glad.
No, let me repeat that because I think that went over your head.
So glad you said it.
Of the Americas, of the land, the creative force in this land is called Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes all the way up to the Americas, so in Canada as well. So my mantra continuously is America the beautiful. God bless America. I'm talking about the landmass, excluding the people, because we know that there's a people here that don't belong here. We ain't gonna talk about that right now.
Right.
I want to focus on the landmass. The land has never did nothing wrong to us.
True.
Right? You got melanated people up in Canada. Give them a hand.
Right.
Why I do it? There's something out there There's some beauty in the land. It's something that magnetizes melanin to a region of the planet that we know, like, why is melanin doing here? Like,
It's true.
rigid and bridgid and frigid over here.
It ain't
But
right.
y'all up there, you know, and until I started hearing what I heard recently about some of the youth out in Canada, you know, maybe because of the demon time and the stuff that's going on with the music.
True.
But for the most part, I've always heard good things about the energy of Canadians in Canada.
It's greatly
Beautiful
changed in
people,
the last little
beautiful
while.
place, right?
Mhm.
I'm enamored by nature. I can't get enough of it. I'm in
Beautiful.
love with this planet. You know, I'm Mama's son for real. Like I love Mama Earth, right? Don't got nothing bad to say about her. The people, that's a whole nother
That's different.
conversation. But not the earth, not Mama. Mama never did nothing wrong.
Mm-mm.
Mama got no blemishes on her record. She's a giver. She's a nurturer. You know, she provides for us. She's never done us wrong. Case in point, and I hope they're listening. Let's talk about providence. Let's talk about the people who have a date with destiny that are here in the land of milk and honey, right? Not to take away nothing about where you come from originally or what you holding on to, but you here, you in the Americas, and you are here specifically because you got a date with destiny,
Right.
as America does, right? So let's talk providence. They ran our people out of the South, right? We're talking about something called a Yahoo land grab, where Andrew Jackson and them figured out that there was gold in North Georgia mountains. Beluga, they found it here before they found it out west. The gold rush started in North Georgia before it did out there with the 49ers. Nobody speaks about this. That's what led to the Trail of Tears,
Okay.
right? Because they ran them off their land, and allegedly they said, oh, they were slaves. The Cherokee, they said the Cherokee took these slaves barefoot across the country to Indian territory, which would be Oklahoma. They said Cherokee territory was inclusive of Mississippi, where they had an avenue for Greenwood. You know what I'm saying? Yahoo, Arkansas, and Yazoo. You know, was it Yazoo? Okay, anyway. All of that. Now, North, South, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, the whole region. They said that they extracted these people and they marched them across the country through the Trail of Tears barefoot until they got to Oklahoma. Only to get to Oklahoma to find out that they got oil-rich land. Now, if that's not providence,
Right.
because they was attempting to march them into something that they considered to be barren land. They said
Right.
specifically, yeah, we bringing y'all into barren land. Nothing
Wow.
grows here. You set them people up to die. You took them off of land that was already rich with minerals and oil.
True.
I mean, with rich with gold, carbon on that end, to march them cross country to a
death.
land that's rich with oil, another carbon,
But yeah.
and they end up in Providence. And that's what the whole movie about Killers of the Flower Moon was about.
Okay.
They got all of them nominations last night. That was the Osage people. They was right up the road
Wow.
from our people in Tulsa. Those people was considered to be the richest people per zip code in this entire country. Let me put it in perspective, right? Every one of them had a Wraith Rolls Royce in a driveway.
Crazy.
Right. Back then, they had the Model Ts and all of that. That would be the equivalency of that. They had so much money, they didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
They were over rich. They were over rich. So, when have we ever necessarily caught an L per se?
True.
When it comes to the land, now the way that the people drive the land is something different, but the land has never given you an L, family. Right? So we need to be a lot more respectful of this land. And this continuous diversionary tactics that we have in this community about where people points of origins come from, and then they want to argue with other people. I just think that, to me, that's the thing that's most hurtful about what's going on in this community. You know what I'm saying? Because it detracts from the colonizer. It detracts from the people who you know don't got no business being here.
True.
And if you feel the thing that y'all both got in common is they hit y'all both over the head. Whether you was here when they got here or whether they brought you on the bottom of the boat. When they got here, they put foots off both of your asses.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, we fought and we still fighting, granted. You know what I'm saying? But all of the emphasis and attention is being taken off of the objective and the goal. And I guess different people have different goals and objectives. My goal and objective is to reconnect with this land,
That's right.
right? to a degree where it can provide food, clothing, and shelter in abundance for myself, my family, my tribe, my community, and ultimately the nation. And then we can build bridges, right? Because you gotta have something to offer to go other places empty-handed. Look, Africa don't want you coming back there empty-handed, broke and beaten like you failed the game of America. They don't have nothing to do with you coming over there like that. You gotta go on your victory lap around the planet, and then they're gonna open up doors and welcome you in.
Sure.
But if they find out that you lost this game here, you don't got a refuge nowhere on the planet.
It's very true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have to ask you, I don't know why when you were speaking water came to mind with Mama Earth. I've been talking about the indigenous affairs here and loving Mama Earth. And I wanted to talk water and the importance of water and how our waters relate to Mama's waters. You know, I'm here rubbing my belly. I'm filled with my waters. I'm 9 months pregnant right now, but yeah. Thank you. Got the belly going on down here. I mean, any moment.
Yeah, so
any moment.
That baby's in the amniotic fluid, like dun dun dun. Everything sounds like surround sound. Everything's amplified, right? And it's in an aquatic state, you know. And I have a tendency to believe, again, you know, our cosmic origins have to be somewhat amphibious. I know I come from some sort of water situation and civilization before I was totally landmass based, you know. I'm a Nomo sapien. Yeah, I come from the Nomos. Serious. You feel me? We are sea-based people.
I love that.
Astrologically, our people are considered Cancerian. They call us a Cancerian people because we are water-based people. We are people that are separated from a body of water. That body of water is the Atlantic Ocean on this side. So we're over here, and across that Atlantic, we got family over there. You know what I'm saying? Again, whether we want to believe, oh, that's what we were, y'all still related.
Still.
You trying to say you don't got no relations to them?
Right.
But you got closer relations to them other peoples?
Right.
It's like, nah, we still related. That water is still our conduit. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk water. You compose of 90% of water, not 70. You compose of 90% of water, right? And one would have to ask, all right, you were pregnant 9 months. Where did that extra water come from?
Where did it come from?
Right? Where did it come from? So the water in our body, they say, is older than the sun. The water in our body is damn sure older than the earth. So you are, by definition, extraterrestrial because the water in your body don't come from here if it's older than the planet. You understand? They said that the water is older than the sun itself. So even the sun is subordinate to you. Don't disrespect it, though. Right? We have to figure out how to have great relationships with things that are in service to us, right? Without being like dictators or there's a difference between dominion and domination. That's really what I want to establish, especially for my family out there to come under the auspices of Christianity. You have to understand that you have been introduced to Christendom, which is a militarized form of Christianity that was put together by Constantine when he merged church and state. He was a emperor of Rome who was used to domination. So in order to continue the hegemonic expansion of his empire, he said, what? I'm going to conquer in this sign. But the Prince of Peace should not be running around conquering the planet at the tip of a sword or a barrel of a gun.
Right.
That's called Christendom. It's a military response. They were crusading against Moors. So when they wrote the papal bull in 1493, right, the Pope specifically said, I'm giving you permission to go and hunt the Saracens and the heathens. Those are two catechisms or words for Moors. So they were fighting a holy crusade to drive Muslims out of the Iberian Peninsula to reestablish Christianity, but it was considered to be Christendom. So you have only been introduced to a very aggressive form of Christianity that deals with domination and not dominion. Dominion means that you have relationships with the kingdoms. It means that I could come amongst the animals and they're going to respect me. I can only be a shepherd to the sheep if I have relationship with, not relations, but a relationship with the sheep where they like, oh, We respect. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
this
right.
is the person that feeds us. We trust
We can
you.
talk.
You know what I'm saying? And the cattle the same way. That's why we were the first horsemen, not cowboys over here. We were the first horsemen
Horsemen.
because when they came out of slavery and they started opening up the territories, they could not deal with the indigenous people in those regions. So our people left first from Texas and they moved through
True.
and they became what's called exodusters. They went into Kansas first and they formed a civilization called Nicodemus. That was the first settlement. And you know the story about Nicodemus and Jesus in the Bible? I just read it yesterday for class.
Let us know.
Cause I'll get back. Somebody asked that question. I'll get back to that. You feel me? Nicodemus, Kansas was one of our first settlements. The country or the U.S. opened up the expanse because of the manifest destiny, but they were the ones that they didn't go forth west. They sent us forth west because we were amazing cattle hands because we had relationships with the cows where we were able to herd them. They didn't have barbed wire or anything. You had to move heads of cattle from Texas all the way up to the plains, and then you had to do the transaction, get the bread, and bring it back.
Right.
Only we could do that. Only we could do that. Right? Because we had dominion and relationships with the different kingdoms. We can go into the wilds, right? The European said his claim to fame is that he conquered the tribes, the terrain, and the theos of the indigenous people here. So again, he has an aggressive way of going about doing that. He's going to kill everything in his path. We didn't have to do that. We had great understanding and relationship with the elements and the minerals and the kingdoms that we was able to create safe passage. And ultimately, that's how we even made it up to Canada.
Right.
Right? We had to have great relationships with the First Nations and the indigenous people for them to house us up and for them to allow us safe passage.
Wow.
So, yeah, all of this is part of our storied history, right? We are people who have been endowed with the covenant of our Creator to have dominion over these species and dominion over this planet as custodians, you know what I'm saying? As curators of this experience, not as, you know, the dominant overlords or overseers, the people who came with domination. That's what they on. And you can see it. You can step back and look and say, what am I looking at? Remnants of domination. When in Rome, they doing as Romans do. You see what's going on in the industry, right? They're dominating other men. That's dominion. That's domination. That's Roman. So it's very easy if you sit back and just put things in their proper perspective.
True.
You can see what's going on.
Clearly.
And we don't got to get into the details because it's not specific to the details. The overstroke of it all, Pauls, is domination versus dominion. If you are leading with your heart, right? Because there's two different versions of a king. A king is the servant of the people. Their king means that their king has the most servants. This is different.
It's two different things.
You denote their king by saying who has the most servants and who can dominate them.
Right.
Ours is who has the most service to the people. The king and the heart are the same motif because they both fall under the astrological sign of Leo. Right? Leo is the king. Leo deals with children, and Leo is the heart. That's why they would see Jesus depicted with a heart in his hand.
Right?
Because he's personifying the sun as the zodiac. Gotta lead with your heart. That's where dominion comes from. If you true to form, the elements and the kingdoms will respond to you. They'll see you before you even get there. Why? Because your heart emanates
that field
that goes further than anything else, right, on the planet. Not your heart.
Right. Wow.
So, you know what I mean? Like, we're surrounded by people that they're heartless. They don't got no heart. They're all intellect. You know, they're mostly brain driven. And mind is man, so that's not a flex for us to say we're being controlled by someone who doesn't have physical brawn.
True.
He only has mental might, but you're getting beat at your own game, melanated man. Because how can a latecomer beat you at any game of mental if there never was a time when man was not. So that means there never was a time when mine was not. But someone figured it out, and they're running circles around you with your own game.
True.
And they're like, tell them why you mad, son. This just might be why I was just a little bad. Because it makes no sense. Mathematically, it makes no sense. And the only thing I could come up with conclusively is that we can't get in one room and unify so we can have these conversations amongst one another as family to figure out what the hell's going on with you. Right? Look, 2019, me and my brother, 19 Keys, a brother named Nova, we were invited to the UK to travel with Queen Diambi, right? Shout out to Master Teacher Infobishi. We had kings, queens, nobles, and dignitaries with us. They took us to Parliament. Now, shout out to the people. Yeah, y'all listening? Y'all in Canada?
Yep.
Yeah. They took us to Parliament. After 5 minutes of hearing what we had to say, they was like, look, we're going to pack our stuff and leave and let y'all stay here and do y'all thing.
Okay.
And just let us know when y'all finish so we could come back. And then they came back the next day, they closed Parliament, and they fumigated it.
Wow.
They cleaned it. But when we was up in there holding court in Parliament, they gave us our own section, our own room and everything.
Wow.
And we was delegating in there, and it was spiritual warfare. Because our spirits was up in there with their spirits like...
No doubt. Two different entities. Right.
And we up in there going, talking that talk, speaking as free men. And we was commissioned by a young lady from Britain. She also worked with the UN, and she said, you know, she wanted us to understand this aspect of, you know, the four corners aspect of the diaspora. You know, the States, the Caribbean, Canada, and the continent, Africa, right? Creating this indigenous trade zone between indigenous peoples that should be uninterrupted by the colonizer. And that's where the power is at. We have power in numbers, but those numbers have to be organized and unified. And I'm not speaking about revolution. This is an economic front that was being spoken about, import, export, how we can set up trade between these particular zones, these four corner zones where melanated indigenous people exist and need one another. And we can feed one another. We don't need no handouts. We don't need no hands from no other man.
Sure.
We have what it takes.
More
We're just not organized and unified for whatever reason. We got the numbers. We got the ideas, that the vision and direction to a degree,
Resources,
right?
yeah.
We have enough amongst one another that we can get in a room and figure out which one we're going to go with first. But we're not short on ideas, right? We can beat at our own game, which is organization. And because melanin naturally attracts itself to itself, it magnetizes. So why are we not in the natural flow of things coming together?
Right.
Magnetizing, and you got the biggest magnets on the planet.
Truth.
Starting to not make sense.
Wow.
So that was October of 2019. We got back, we hit the ground running, and then C19 happened.
True.
And it kind of threw things off for the global perspective. We still was on the ground every single day of C19 doing what we had to do for our people in our community. And we was running circles around that thing. But we have to reignite the global conversation. Keys has been traveling around the world since then. And
Doing great work.
Made contacts. But we're either looking towards later this year or sometime definitely next year as the year that, you know, we really get to move around the planet and just
Big footsteps. That's right.
unbreakable bond with our people, that beautiful people, you know, everywhere that I go. You know what I'm saying? Like even for the family that has left the Caribbean and y'all in, you know, Arctic regions like Canada and all that, I'm like, the colonizers just gonna leave you paradise, right? You think that wasn't where you was originally from?
Was
you had a
paradise.
personal stake in that island, and he's just gonna pack up and leave paradise to you?
Right.
Hmm?
Right.
You think that? You think that's what happened, y'all? right? So we got to get back to these zones, these blue zones. The Caribbean is an amazing zone, equatorial. My people are from the islands. I need to be closer to the equator to really be the best version of myself. For this mutant power to really, really kick in.
Yes.
I need to be under the sun, getting the degree, the amount, the percentage of vitamin D that will do the things what my melanin is necessary for me to be who I ultimately am here. Looking to, you're a human being. You're still becoming something. We have not reached our zenith, family. We're always evolving into what that next phase and that next thing is. And those transmissions come by way, that information comes by way of the cosmos, by way of the sun. We're not sun worshipers. We don't do that. But you do get downloads from the sun. Light is information, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
How do they transfer information in this particular system, in this construct? They use fiber optics. They use cable, right? But mainly it's light. So light is the same thing. Information is coming from the sun at a particular angle. The angular motion, 22 degrees or better, is only going to hit the Caribbean. So them people are so zen. Those people are so peaceful. Those people are so productive.
So true.
Right? Regardless of what they've been through. They not broke up and damaged like we are over here.
That's true.
You feel me? They not. They got their dignity intact. They still ceremonial. They have not forgotten. Our people over here.
Very true.
They forgotten.
It's
willingly so.
Mm-hmm.
Family over there is not necessarily that way. So we have to see the Caribbean for what it is. Like, that's a sleeping giant right there.
Yes.
That's paradise. We got to go back and get what's ours. We got to clean these places up. We got to bring these economical opportunities to these regions so we can build them islands up so that people don't want to leave island to go to yard and figure out, or go to foreign and
right.
And get lost in amazing things, and then you get sent back a totally different person. This place will corrupt you.
Change you for sure.
It's the bottom of the bucket over here, but it's also the top of the mountain. It's always, as low as you go, the close you can get to the heights that you need to be. So, and I'm just speaking on a energetic principle of where we understand polarity and things that swing like pendulums. That's why they said that Christ would be amongst the thieves and the prostitutes. The lowest of places is where you need to necessarily be if you're looking to elevate people to the highest degrees.
Right.
They can't go no lower, so they have to go high. They gotta go up. It's a natural process. It's where you find the diamonds in the rough. You know what I'm saying? The Caribbean is that. And there's treasures all through there. We have no idea what's encased in those mountains. Look at the iridium that they found in Haiti. Haiti's a magical island hit by an asteroid.
Let us know about Haiti right now. I know.
Where do you want to? What part?
Well, for the first,
currently going on
a quick touch on why Haiti is so special, and then yes, I was in your story.
There's so many reasons why Haiti's so special. Just some of the indigenous history before colonization happened. It's always been the jewel of the Caribbean. It's always been. This location has always been so integral to the reason why it's so special. Dr. Ben said that the first people that they brought to occupy Haiti, ironically, were captured Moorish slaves from Spain. And those were West Africans, nonetheless. But he said that they occupied, initially, the beginning of Spain was occupied with captured Moors after the fall of Granada in 1492, right? They took the Moors and they sent them. They called them magical Negroes, though.
Are those the same? Is that the same, say, boatload that was dropped off to Jamaica, or different?
They said that Jamaica was populated by Angolans.
Ah.
Right. They said that they were populated by Angolan, quote unquote, slaves. Haiti's somewhat different because again, they was already dabbling and dealing with different arts. If they was Moors in Spain, they were dealing with the different Mancies. So they had all sorts of different sciences that they knew that people might consider to be magic.
Right, right.
What have you. So, and I gotta look, because his own peers don't agree with him that that's a level of contention. A lot of people take exception with hearing that. Same way that they send indigenous, what they call Native Americans here, they sent them to Spain. And then they took those people and they sent them people other places. So you never know who was who or what was what, especially when they're not telling you that these people look all alike.
Right.
Because when we hear Indian, we think about Tonto in them, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about copper tone, melanated people that look just like you.
Right.
You know? So Haiti is a very special place. They found a mountain full of a mineral called iridium that is an extraterrestrial mineral that came here by way of an asteroid, and it's worth trillions of dollars. And they compare that to what's considered to be vibranium and the mythical version of Marvel. But it's non-corrosive, right? You utilize it to coat the bottom of spaceships. You utilize it for different medical instruments. You know what I'm saying? It has a high burning point. They use something called like tungsten, I think it's called. It's a mineral.
Yeah.
They said that they coat it, just to give you an idea of just different things that they say that they do. None of it can be proven. They said that they sent a probe up called the Parker probe in 2022, and it brushed past the sun. And I was like, how did it burn up? And they said it had a mineral on it called tungsten that is high flame, it is high resistance to flames. And I'm like, it touched the sun, no sun. 93 million miles, that's what you're trying to tell me? These people is,
That's a lot.
It's a lot. But nonetheless, that's what iridium consists of. Iridium, because I've utilized that mineral before in the water that I used to concoct, a mineral water, and it gave me super energy. Like, if I could do 10 pull-ups, then off of water with iridium, I could do 15 or 18 easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm giving people cheat codes, but you have to be very careful because iridium is considered to be toxic. So if you're getting it from a supplier, that supplier really has to know what they're doing. Because normally human beings would not be ingesting iridium. But I used to have that iridium in my gold water.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it was super strength. So, I've always, you be Haitians, they be having super strength.
For sure.
I was like, I thought
For sure.
I just thought it was the yams or something, provisions. They got a whole nother type of strength.
It's good, and they live long.
The land is the people. You know what I'm saying? We might have heard that in Avatar or one of the cute Disney movies, but it's true. The land is the people, because we're speaking about minerals, what goes into a person, the food that they eat, their environment that they're in, the water that they drink, right? All of this is them being exposed to the minerals in their direct environment, the intake of that minerals.
Colonization, yeah. Right to the colon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the strong people. So you got to know that they come from a strong mystical land.
Can relate to that. And there's a lot of study to do for us with the Caribbean. I just want to pause and reiterate that and nail it home. That's one of the efforts we've been telling people here is that they really need to go back home, to really recognize the gems that we have, to invest in these spaces. And I just wanted to, because I see that there's some Jamaicans in the comments, so shout out to everybody who's from the Caribbean as well. But right now, in Jamaica, right now, there's that effort for everyone to repatriate as well. So if you have parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents, at least of Jamaican heritage, it is a simple one-page process. I think in Canadian it's like $150 for you to be able to get your nationality for Jamaica, which then, once you connect, you're able to do business in CARICOM. So that opens up the door.
Yes, CARICOM.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, again, we're speaking about these trade blocks. We're speaking about CARICOM is going to be in bed soon with AFRICOM, right?
Right.
You want to come under the auspices of some of these organizations. You have to be dressed for the party in order to do business.
Right.
And that's what we really got to talk about. I love you that much, family, as a family, that, I wholeheartedly want you to know that nobody's doing nothing to you or against you. We're not dressed for the party. We have to prepare ourselves to do business in order to, you have to be in receivership in order to receive.
Absolutely.
And we just got our hands out thinking that, everything is owed to us and we just going to get X, Y, and Z because we look cute.
And that's the difference with the nation as well.
We do have a history, and we do.
Right.
But you still got to be dressed for the party because it's not B2C. It's not business to customers, B2B.
Right.
You got to be dressed for the party as a business to get some of these business benefits.
Absolutely. And I love that, I was listening to another one of your interviews as well, and how you spoke about the Nation of Islam and their influence and how you have, gathered from them. But I tried to explain that to the youth here about that presentation piece. Some people overlook why a nation is dressed a certain way, carries themselves a certain way, stands and speaks tall, speaks a certain way, and even people who are in relation to the learnings of His Imperial Majesty, he spoke on the same thing. He was a small man, Haile Selassie was a very small
man, but very large stature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being prepared in all of the ways.
Being prepared, This is noble presence, being dressed for the party and standing in that stature. It projected him like he was 800 feet tall.
So big.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This man beat the Italians,
Right.
At least gave him a good fight. He was a leader. He was a force.
What I do.
And
go ahead.
When he was received everywhere that he went, you could tell that his paperwork preceded him.
Right.
I mean, that's figuratively speaking, but what's understood don't need to be explained. And you saw that with his demonstration. Everywhere that he went, or for the most part, he was received as a dignitary.
The Queen bowed down to him.
At the same time that they're telling you that you're not worth X, Y, and Z. It makes sense. It don't add up. Somebody's dressed for the party and somebody's not. Sorry.
Simple and plain. And we got to speak on why Haiti's having such a hard time. The Clintons, but break it down for me what I just saw this morning from you about this cannibalism piece in Haiti, or what is currently happening. Why is Haiti now coming under fire?
Well, Haiti's a narco state, you know what I'm saying? And as a narco state, they are a major throughway, trafficking throughway for narcotics, right? And to different regions, because the narcotic trade is not just focused on the U.S. alone. They are getting their stuff out into Europe as well. So these open seas and what have you. So Haiti's being utilized as it's a disruptive zone, but it's like the U.S. would install a puppet president. That puppet president is a puppet. They cut the strings on a puppet, and now what you have is what appears to be a coup, right? Or a revolution with people that don't have revolutionary aspirations. Barbecue doesn't want to get into politics, but he still wants to dethrone the government, right? So now you're looking at what? It's going to be anarchy and the lawlessness. At the same time, nobody's looking at that mountain that got iridium in it.
True.
So we always see the series of destabilization. The minute a country announces that they got fortune, give it 6 to 8 months, and there's going to be a destabilization process.
Absolutely.
America's fighting about 15 proxy wars right now. Right? Through destabilization processes. They're either using other state actors or countries to do it, or they got the intelligence agencies. So who knows? The same way that, Who's looking at the gas off of the coast of Gaza? It's like, who knows? You can't tell in the midst of conflict who got their hand in the cookie jar. But I did also see a report. They said that the one billionaire that lives in Haiti, right, is a Zionist man who's the head of the small Zionist community in Haiti that only consists of 25 people. But he's pushing buttons. The same way when you do the research about who's behind the Congo massacre, you find out that it's Zionists.
I just read that, yeah.
Find out that it's the Zionists that got the just pulling the diamonds out the ground. So every major conflict that we're looking at, I'm sure we can even go to Ethiopia and Eritrea and find out that them people got something to do denoting the true Kushite people. They robbed them of their identity. You know what I'm saying?
True.
They kick them in the ass when they come over there, treating them like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they're second-class citizens.
Right.
And them is the true people that come from that particular legacy.
Right.
So it all comes down to them at the end of the day, and I don't want to be, I don't want to play that game. I'm just saying, like, can we just make an observation so we can remove ourselves? I mean, the clearer that we become on something,
right,
the sooner we can cause change. And we could cause change up here once we lock in on an understanding, right? We can change it. All of this is being held up by our perception anyway. It's all a projection. So Haiti's mineral rich and the people are dirt poor, right? Literally, they eat like dirt sandwiches and stuff like that to get the minerals out the earth.
Out the earth. Yep.
There's science to it, but they're mineral rich but dirt poor, and there's going to be a level of instability in that country that may probably force some level of intervention. I don't know how they're going to allow it just to spill over the way that it does, you know, but they have military grade weaponry that comes from the U.S. over there. You know what I'm saying? And it's an unfortunate situation because it still is putting the residents of the country in a very precarious situation, right? Because they're saying, there's, section, you know what I mean? There's stuff going on that normally takes place when societies collapse.
Right.
I don't think that we want to see a total collapsed version of Haiti in our backyard.
I've been seeing a lot of headlines and learning a lot in the past few weeks. And I know when we last were talking about March going to be really crazy. The numerology, just everything that supports March and what comes next. But what do you see America's situation looking like this year, the remainder of this year? I feel like things have happened really fast in terms of
crazy.
Yeah. And we always focus on readiness, one thing I appreciate about the nation as well is just everyone knows that protection is a piece that is important. There's a lot of these narratives, like the Nigerian banker who went down in the helicopter crash before going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh man, see what happens whenever we try to rise. This is what happens. And that fear base is still infiltrating our community, even amongst the leaders. But what I love to see about certain groups, South Africa right now, the nation, just really understanding that the way you move and that protection piece should be part of the plan. If you're going to make these moves, if you're going to stand up against machines, that's part of the plan. How you move, who you move around, who you keep in your circle, that's part of the plan. So it's not a need to stray away from courage. I'm really interested in that activation of courage amongst us as a community, especially in the Black male. And we talk about preparedness over fear. And we're not in much of a different situation, Canada to U.S. is just a imaginary border to say. What would you recommend to the people listening based on your trajectory of where you see things going, at least for this year, as things are changing, what is going to help us in terms of maintaining our meditation, our stability, our ability?
You know, my word is always about finding you friends and family or a tribe that you can lock in with, get you a compound so you can be self-reliant on one another. You can control your environment. You have to take hold. You're not going to save everybody. You're not going to be able to touch everyone. You have to be concerned with, your direct and your immediate circle being in proximity to you, where you'll be able to feed them and protect them if anything does happen. Because we're surrounded by crazies. Some people are religious zealots, some people are political zealots, and now there's a mixture of both. That's not a good mixture. So we're living with a set of variables that I can name like 6 to 7 different scenarios that if one thing goes wrong, it's going to set off
a problem. Right.
A cascade of other events that is going to make the unpredictability factor somewhat that's very uncomfortable. We are in the age of Pluto and Aquarius, and that's an astrological alignment. Pluto means death and transformation. Aquarius is humanity, right? So humanity for the next 20 years, Pluto will be in Aquarius until 2044. It's going to go through a drastic transformation. Aquarius is governed by the planet Uranus, or Uranus, which means the kingdom of heaven in Greek. Granted, mind you, right? This is what Jesus was speaking about in Luke 22, when he was speaking about the neighbor coming in with a pitcher of water in the upper room. He's speaking about the sign of Aquarius, the season of Aquarius, right? And we're ushering and moving into that, but it's a transformational period that we have to endure for the next 20 years. Uranus means sudden, unexpected change, right? Meaning that it's very hard to prophesize or to bullseye pinpoint what's coming next. The theme is unpredictability. That is the theme right now. But the theme is also transformation of political systems. Right? Anything that's not nailed down, the covers are being pulled off of it. Exposure's at an all-time high. Micro, macro, what you're seeing on the micro level, you're going to see how it reverberates on the macro level. And there's a connection between the two. So you might see it in your immediate, circle, and you might turn the news on and see it on a grander scale, on a global circuit.
Right.
It's the same energy hitting, you know what I'm saying, and affecting things in this particular way. So yeah, you wanna clean your heart, you wanna clean your closet out, you know what I'm saying? You wanna get in front of your ish. You feel me?
No doubt.
Because this boat is rocking. And we are in a political cycle. We're also in this, again, astrological cycle. And the total eclipse is about to hit on April 8th. Now, and that won't be back until 2044. So I look at the eclipse as the amplifier for Pluto and Aquarius. They both are working hand in hand, giving a cast in the shadow to 2044. And we're in a 44 year. Because 20 plus 24 equals 44.
Right.
44 is a number that denotes war, right? Because it's the number of Aries. Okay? It's the number of Aries, and Aries is the planet that governs war. We already are comfortably in enough conflicts. It ain't like we need no more war.
Right.
So we're definitely going to see more conflict. And we're definitely going to see more war intensify. We'll see the ending of wars and the beginning of new ones. Right? And some wars are necessary, and they'll feel that some wars are unnecessary. But the geopolitics of this planet, there's no one in charge right now. So everything is topsy-turvy. They got our backs against the wall. Our decisions are between two centurions. Nobody's in charge. Right? the inmates was running the asylum. So, and it also Aquarius stands for revolution. So you see revolutions popping off on the continent, specifically all of the Francophile countries that got upended last year that are continuing Burkina Faso and all of these regions that are pushing France out. That's going to be. They're not going to just lay down.
That's true.
There's too much at stake, right? So there may potentially be some responses to that, but we pray that we see more independence. We pray that we see more people pushing back. Just understand that there's a lot of geopolitical theater taking place.
Right.
Just because we see a melanated face up front, you know what I mean, don't mean that there's not a European face in the or an Asian face in the background, pulling strings or washing money.
Very true.
So there's so many things that are consequently taking place, and my advice, yes, is for the family that is from the Caribbean. I would say this: at least you know that you can live off the land. At least if you learn how to plant you something, you know that you can ride this thing out by, at least being able to feed and shelter yourself.
Right.
Right. Because I don't know what's going to happen, but I really doubt that it's taking place on the small islands.
Right.
You feel me? Like, why should we want to get back to paradise? And I get it, everybody, they're chasing the bag, but
people realizing
you could get it anywhere that you're at on the planet.
Right.
If you had a signal. You know what I mean? So this is the time where you could move around and get a little nomadic. But find your safe zone. You know what I'm saying? Find a place that the environment complements your presence.
Okay.
Like, I love it here. Oh, this is where I have my best sleep.
Right. I feel my best.
Thoughts and my downloads. My memories live here. Yeah, those places.
Right.
I know that you came up north because you had to pursue higher education and get the gig and all of that.
But then you did
You know what I
mean? Yeah.
But yeah, don't get stuck there. Remember, you from these temporal zones, and you resonate different when you're under that version of the sun. It sounds different over there, as opposed to up here, where we're not getting vitamin D in abundance no time around the year, just based on the angular motion of how the sun shines on the planet. Is not hitting up here in the north. It's equatorial. You feel me? Yeah, so yeah, I would admonish them to not get stuck. Have a contingency plan. You know what I'm saying? Just in case. Y'all got some, as I've been seeing, y'all got some weird political situations going on up there in Canada right now.
It's not a great place.
It looked like they're about to take heads. I mean, it looked aggressive, some things that I saw. I was like, is this real?
Yeah, nobody thinks Canada is like that right now. That's where it's gone. So a lot of people are waking up and having these conversations and saying, hold on a second, something's got to give. This is not the Canada that we know from before. Things are happening fast.
They're happening fast because look at the Crown. They can't find Kate. Like, it's going down over there.
It's going down.
Since he bounced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put a timeline together. I remember the day, goddamn, it was September 9th. I remember that day. Things ain't been the same since. Oh, it might have been the 8th. It might have been the day before. But nonetheless, I remember it. And I've been keeping notes ever since. And I've seen how things been falling on their face. I keep up on this stuff.
Right.
You feel me? Yeah, so Canada's going to go through some changes very quick. Hopefully they open the borders. You know what I'm saying? I heard y'all got some of the best mushrooms. I want to come up there.
Food's good too. Just saying. West Coast got some good.
Yeah, British Columbia, yeah, up where it's wet at.
Yep.
Up that way, the forest and all of that.
Yep.
I'm a nature enthusiast. Like I said, I would love just to be relishing in that country. You got the colonizer set up there, straight criminals, and they telling us that we can't come in because we got something on our jacket, and y'all still
Yeah,
have
somebody
it.
was just asking in the chat. Yep, door's locked. Mm-hmm.
And y'all still doing them people so wrong. First
Still
Nations. It's like, come on.
up
Like
north,
the
it's like
hypocrisy,
40
yeah.
to.
I just cannot wait for it to get chin checked. And I know, these next few years, we're going to see a lot of change, and the field is going to be equalized.
Right.
And ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. So, we're moving into a different time. And I pray that it gets here a little bit quicker, but, everything is happening in due time. And yeah, man, Canada's gonna play a pivotal role. Shout out once again to all of our family, our tribe that are up there in those regions, holding it down. Making the beauty of the backdrop look even more beautiful because they got beautiful people up there.
Right. Shout out Nova Scotia, places like Nova Scotia with all that history. Yep. Our concentrated places. We exist. We out here.
Still out there, holding it down.
Truly, truly. But like you said, it's not great to be somewhere where the weather hurts your face, where you can't get vitamin D. It's not nice. Although we didn't really have much of a winter, it's warming up. I mean, our leaders right now.
Yeah.
Our leaders right now are, I feel like we're a footstep away from being under some North Korea type rules, right? So the bills that are being passed right now, if you speak out online and offend somebody, that you can be facing lifetime in jail. Yeah. The censorship laws. And see, the person leading idolizes certain Chinese techniques and has said so openly. There's a lot right now that, the people who came here from countries that were under these regimes, they left real quick. They're in Mexico now. There was an exodus from here in Toronto, at least, where people who had fled from those countries to come here said, no. We know the cookie cutter steps of what's happening. That's why we left. So now we're seeing the play by play. It's time to go. It's time now to go. So I speak on it because I know a lot of Americans aspire, a lot of people in the chat, as well, to come to Canada. But I feel like in some sort of way, this might be a worse situation. There's a lot of control happening behind the scenes, and
and I already started. Let me. Terrible thing to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I saw a lot of it materializing. Like I said, post C-19. When I saw those measures that they were rolling out, they were very much draconian, and I was like, wow, okay, finally showing their true colors. And it got worse. It's gotten worse. So I don't know if the people are being complacent up there.
Absolutely.
I don't know what the distraction is. They just getting ready for the Drake tour. I don't know what it is, but
we're gonna leave that one alone. There's a softness. You see, you were talking about building character. There's a softness over here. I'm gonna X myself out of a whole lot of situations, but I don't know. Drake didn't start at the bottom of his swimming pool. So there's a softness over here, and also because there are so many people who come here as refugees, I feel like there is a fear to go back. So they're capitalizing off of this, right? So there's a lot of people who want to speak out and have warring natures, warring spirits, rebel spirits of where they're coming from. But it's quiet. It's quiet. Even right now, anybody protesting on the side of Palestine is being deemed a terrorist here. So it's like it's gone so far, so quick. This is where we stand. Shut your mouth, or else you want lifetime plus a $2,000 fine, $20,000 fine. It's a lot. So
it's like we don't want to hear it. Okay, that's what they on. Well, the people who are scared of the truth, are people who are running from the conversation. The fragile ones, they're not going to make it through what's about to come. So
that in itself to get canceled out.
AI gonna get them. I mean,
Hey,
again, they can suppress our voice with these platforms, or they can attempt to by deplatforming people and threatening people with X, Y, and Z. But give it about 4 to 6 months. When you see what this generative AI is about to do, because I'm reading their reports, I see what they're scared of, and they're terrified of the truth. They're terrified of this machine being able to tell the truth with no holds barred. That's what they're most fearful of. The truth is about to come from the machine is not going to kowtow to their
no,
threats.
it's not going to quiet. No. Did you invest in Bitcoin
I did, yes.
a long time ago?
Both.
Okay.
You know, we have been again promoting Bitcoin on our platform. It's 2011 or something. But really, you know, in hypergear like 2015, 2017, where we had some brothers from the they were called the Moabit Association, and they came and was giving us the spill on Bitcoin back then.
Right.
And they were, after every show that we did, they were sending us, you know, different units of Satoshis or what have you, and all of that stuff added up. But I really started getting into the investing for myself around 2021.
Okay. I see that parallel drawn between AI and with crypto and the fear base that is being brought in. You know, like people think it is something new. You got to give it time, but we missed out on opportunities, right? And so, what would you say to people who are fearful or skeptical of AI right now?
Last year this time, I was saying, you know, you got to be in it to win it. You know, that I never said that there was nothing to be fearful of. I've never said that.
Mm-hmm.
I just used this opportunity to explain to people that AI is programmed. And if you're fearful of AI, you're saying that you're fearful of the minds and the people of the men who have programmed AI to operate as an extension of their mind. They don't like you, and AI don't like you either. AI don't have a reason to like you. You know what I'm saying? You have to establish a relationship with AI and program it yourself.
Back to that.
To like you. The world don't like you. You know what I'm saying? And you got to live with that. And they don't like you for various different reasons.
Yeah.
Not too many of which are your own. They're really based on other people's insecurities about who they perceive you to be. And you can see the goofy, foolish ways that they're programming AI to be biased. It's a direct reflection of who they are, and you know what I'm saying, their fear of a melanated black messiah. So AI is going to serve its master. It's being programmed by the fragile mind of white supremacy to operate as an extension of a white supremacist mind. You better get in there and figure out how to do your programming, because there's so many chats right now that you can customize the program to be specific to your mind or what you want them to be specific to, like subject matter experts in this field of expertise. What do you want to do is what we're asking at the end of the day. Because we're now in the age of instant manifestation. And it's not like I just thought this and I manifested it. It's like, nah. What have you always wanted to do? What has your wildest dream ever been? Right? Have you dreamt a dream so big that it won't fit in the room that you're in? We're in those times
where that's
that now, a tool has come along where you need to start chipping away on those big ideas and those plans, because now you have support. Now you don't need $1 million no more, or whiz kid from MIT. You got ChatGPT, you got Claude 3, you got different vehicles, right, where you can equalize and level the playing field. So yeah, I do have a level of frustration with our people, because we did a lot of crying about things that we needed.
Right.
If only I had this, if only I had that. It's not fair they're doing this like this and they're doing us like that. And the universe listened to all of your boo-hooing, and
Right.
the creator found time out of his busy schedule and formulated nothing but answers to all of the problems, all of the boo-hooing and crying. Stop the blood clot crying. Here goes some goddamn answers for you. Let me sprinkle on you.
Right, right,
And what did they do? They left that shit on the floor. And the
right.
nerd came by, dusted it off, polished it, and now we got crypto, and now we got AI.
Mm-hmm.
And our people don't know, got a goddamn clue about what to do with either one of them for their personal salvation. The Moors always said if we had decentralized finance, we can be sovereign. All right, so we got decentralized finance with the sovereignty. Shout out to Chicago Crypto, and there's a few others that are utilizing these tools for financial freedom, and they're making it make sense. You feel me? But crypto made everything that people were speaking about that they needed to be self-sufficient and sovereign, made it possible with
Possible
the
for
blockchain,
sure.
crypto blockchain connection. And then AI, all of our people who are thinking about these wild magnanimous thoughts that you needed funding for, like, where, yeah, get busy, like get in there and figure this thing out, because this thing is spitting, this is it's working, it will work for you, it will serve you. You feel me? But if you're not into the business of getting busy,
Right.
guess what? That colonizer don't got no problem cracking the whip and figuring out how to put something else into a
You
level of
right.
enslavement to serve him. But he's going to do it in a lot more aggressive manner, and it's going to, it's going to look crazy because that's where his intentions are. He wants to create chaos.
Right.
That's what exists in his mind. Right? Well, you should be creating chaos for the world of his that you want to see. Because, and be like, burn down Babylon and like the split, burn down Babylon.
it's it's
All right,
true.
now you got a flamethrower and you still going to be on stage with Capleton saying Capleton is all great now. You
You
want to do
killing.
back up at Capleton, pick up the flamethrower.
Right, right, right.
You done sung yourself into a goddamn corner at this point. Y'all done became so slogan driven that you forgot that there's a part that says that you get busy because faith without works is what?
Ah,
Mm.
ah. Little cranberry to toast that. I gotta fit this in. We're coming close to the end. About 15 minutes out. But everything
Oh,
that's been said is just hot. I have a direct question for you. The eclipse.
yes.
You looking into the sun or you not looking into the sun? You looking?
Um, let me make this very clear. I caught the eclipse in 2017. I took a group. We went to Mount Shasta. We did a ceremony the night prior, leading up. We were sitting with the indigenous Lakota tribe, and they told us. They said, "Look, we don't make observations of eclipse. It's like watching your mother and your father have sex." They said it's an omen.
Wow.
We went to shits, and we like, look, we came from wherever we came from to get up here. We not finna be under the bed in the crib, because they went and we got out of ceremony like 9:30 in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
They went in the house, closed the blinds, and got under the bed.
Shoot, shoot.
They didn't even want the light of it to come nowhere near them. We pulled the
Right.
couch outside and sat right in front of the joint, like we ain't finna miss this. Like, I don't know about what y'all. So we weren't respectful to their direction or their
Traditions,
suggestions. We
yeah.
really wanted to make observations. I didn't have no cert. That was a very mystical day. I never saw that in my life prior to that. I don't think. The lights went out. Animals started acting different. Insects started acting different. The moon, like it was having sex with the sun. It was crazy.
Right, right, right.
It got cold. Got the weather dropped 15 degrees, right? And then it did its motion. And when the moon lifted, the sun was brighter than I ever seen it. The insects started up again. The heat came back, and it was like a whole new. It's like they cleaned the film of it, like the Truman Show. They just cleaned the mirrors and the lights, and the shit was sparking different. 2 days later, Hurricane Harvey. Right? 2 weeks after Hurricane Harvey, Harvey Weinstein. So the whole Me Too movement starts post the 2017 total solar eclipse. That's what pulled the covers off of Hollywood. And for these 7 years, it's been burning, and it culminates with what you see now with Diddy and the rest of them because it's micro macro.
Right.
Because Russell Simmons got knocked and busted in 2017, so he's the one that brings it full circle and brings hip hop into the implication, and now you see what you see.
True.
So I'm like, what do we do now with this one coming? Because that was just a 7-year window of tribulation. All of the major natural disasters afterwards have all of the wild hurricanes, the super hurricanes, everything happened after Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey drops 1.4 trillion gallons on Houston, right? For 4 hours, it stood in one place and dropped 1.7 trillion gallons of water on that place. You feel me? Then you have Maria, then you have Ida. Then you have all of them. All of them have been in a 7-year window. All of the forest fires. Right? Because they had and then the solar flares, the last one that the last one was in 2017, right after this. The solar flare that they had was in October of 2017, and they had an orange moon because they had a hurricane that hit the UK called Othello, I believe. How does hurricanes hit the UK in October? Right? And then the next solar flare that happened after 2017 happened on May 25th, 2020, on a Friday, the day that they popped off in the U.S. for George Floyd. A solar flare hit, and our people popped off, and it never stopped, right? That was the catalyst that I believe broke C-19, because they broke the programming. I was out here. I think the ministries, they was wilding. Like, you can't keep a people suppressed and locked in. Like, they came out raging. So with me looking at the political landscape of this year, like I said, that eclipse is going to be an amplifier, because I've never seen an eclipse being promoted like this for it to be seen.
Even here, the schools are deciding to shut down.
Hell out of it.
Yeah, the schools here are deciding to shut down, whether they're going to shut down and have it be like a home day for the children for that day when it wasn't even scheduled.
So I'm gonna do a reading, honestly, because I'm compelled naturally to want to see it again, just to film it for my own documentary and reasons. But I'm gonna actually inquire with some consultation from Spirit Realm.
No doubt.
To find out if this is something I should be participating in. Because again, it's very heavy. It's a 44 energy on it. It's April 8th. So that's 44. That's 44 plus 4. That's a 444 eclipse. It don't happen again until 20 years, until 2044. And we're in a 44 year.
Right.
And like I said, the 44 energy of Mars represents war. So this eclipse is going to amplify the war situation.
By far.
Crazy.
Schumann resonance going out of hand. It's a dragon year. Everything. Yep.
Crazy. So I don't know if I want to be the irresponsible, because again, you got to know what role do you play in this equation. Even as the observer, I don't denote myself. I don't take myself out of any of these observations because I'm the one doing the observing.
Right.
And I don't think that less of myself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I got to know who am I in this equation, and what impact can I have as an observer, someone who internalizes what they're looking at and attempts to interpret it. You feel me?
True.
I have to be, I got to be very careful about this one. Yeah, and we in a dragon year on top of all of that. So we talking Aries, we talking fire.
Right.
We're talking a solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse deals with straight fire. Biggie Smalls died on March 9th, 1997 during a new moon solar eclipse. It wasn't a total solar eclipse. It was a regular solar eclipse, and Hale-Bopp Comet was passing over. So all of these are motifs and symbolisms for like Christos energy. His name was Christopher. That's Christ. A solar eclipse is understood as a Christos symbol, and so is the comet, right? So you got this individual going through all of this. Right. And this is his 27th year anniversary of him not being here anymore. I think they hit, again, his energy is going to play a very prominent role this year. I think they're going to pull the covers off of his murderers. I think that
Right.
case will be solved this year. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, but we are beautiful people in a beautiful place, and I get so excited about what's on the other end of things for us once we get over these humps and these bumps.
Right.
You feel me?
And we shall. We shall.
Yes, yes.
There's a beautiful energy arising. And another time I'll ask you about that Kundalini piece and activating the Kundalini amongst us, but
Yes.
there's so much growth that's going to take place in a rapid way. And like you said, just knowing what is your position, what part do you want to play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, what part do you want to play?
Yeah, choose and stand on it. I wanted to make sure to fit in at least one more of the songs that you sent. And
Okay.
before I do, I just want to let everyone know, introduce yourself now at the end, who you are, who you call yourself, what is your role, and where do we find you online? I know it's easy to find you.
At Blue Pillar 44, um, BLUEPILLAR 44.
That's
You
right.
can find me on X, on IG, on no, what's that? TikTok.
TikTok. Yep.
Yeah, all of those. Shit, we might move to Canada just to keep our TikTok going, right? That's what people might be.
Check this out. Check this out, though. We lost the ability to earn on any of social media. That was one of the bills that got passed.
Oh,
Yeah,
word.
quietly.
Y'all can't get no
Yeah.
bread off TikTok.
No bread.
Yeah.
That's why so many of us are moving to LA. So.
Wow, they did y'all dirty. I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, Blue Pillar, I'm a bridge builder. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I'm a
right.
connector of people and worlds. Um, a disseminator of information. I'm a minister of minerals. Right? We didn't really get into that, but we'll round the block on that. And again, I'm a son of my mother's and my father's. I'm
Shout out
a
to them.
twin, a brother, a son, uncle, um, soon to be a father.
Okay. Oh. I needed Queen's reaction. That's right. What's the reaction over there, Queen?
Good reaction video. But yeah, I'm a author, entrepreneur, a lecturer, artist, Renaissance man.
I invite everyone to connect with you. You're accessible. You're there. You're posting a lot. Give thanks for the works that you do. I know you have a busy
Yes.
schedule, right? But you're evening the knowledge out amongst us as at the forefront. So, for your duty, thank you for your service. Thank you for all
Thank you.
that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you
Yes, this
are.
is my auspice. This is me operating under my auspices as a journalist.
That's
I went
right.
to school actually, for journalism. I didn't, I did it for a year and a half. They was trying to teach me about all of the English, the Wordsworth and all that. I was like, yo, this is not
Nah.
the same way I want to take it. Yeah. They was trying to teach me about poetic prose that didn't rhyme. Right. Nah, we're not doing that.
Damn.
So, but I became a chief editor of a newspaper. You know what I'm saying? It was a hip hop newspaper called Four Corners, and
Okay.
yeah, this is still me. In my journalistic duties, reporting. Uh, yeah, I have to disseminate the news. I have to spread the news. Even in my personage as Paul. My namesake. He was sanctified for what? For spreading the good news. The gospel is the good news. So
Right.
Paul spread the good news. That's what he did.
That
So
right
I'm here
there.
spreading the good news as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I just wanted to thank you again for your time, for rapping with
Thank you.
us and chilling in the Innerspace
It's an honor.
Fortress.
Yes, it's an honor. Again, shout out to the entire Canada. You know, from one end to the other, and we will be seeing y'all soon. This I know.
Absolutely. 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 I encourage everybody to connect with the Toronto side, the Canada side, Roots Reggae Radio. That's Roots with a Z. And we got Brother Blue Pill here. This is not the last. You're definitely invited to come hang out in the Inner Space Fortress anytime that there is time and build. I'm going to connect with you. Looking forward to learning more about that eclipse space and really knowing the groundation on that. But
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So
I'm gonna let it be known. We're gonna speak on it. We're gonna get the information out. You know.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a journey. It's always a blessing when we have brothers, elders able to come through and share their wisdom, share their knowledge. This is what happens when you connect. This is what happens when you take off the mask. This is what happens when you take off the veil, right? We get to even the knowledge out and to learn things like this and so much more. That beautiful
Yes.
mind of yours, there's so much to cover that we did not get to cover. Just,
Yeah. We'll get it again and again. Like I said, I come from a family of all of them are they like superstars and
That's
rock
right.
stars and all of this stuff. So shout out to KT, shout out to Red Pill,
Shout
who
out.
his name is Richfield now. Shout out to Mama Pill, the legend of legends. You know what I'm saying?
Give thanks
And
for
we got
that.
nieces and nephews that's coming up. They like, hold on, you gotta say my name too. So everybody's looking to get into the space, but to contribute, to the already well
They're
established
active.
narrative and to add on pages and chapters. Again, you
That's
can't
the
be who you
legacy
claim to be
piece.
just a name alone.
That's
You
right.
feel me? You got to put some points on the board.
Aha.
We
Urgency.
pop bottles for MVPs. You know what I'm saying? Not for
Ah.
the six man on the bench.
Mmm.
He get
Mmm.
a ring too, but he's not. He don't be in them celebration pics like that. Ain't nobody pouring champagne on
I tell you, urgency, agency, and legacy. Urgency because what we're speaking of is of urgent nature. Agency because every time that we rise, we have the agency to get the work done. So I appreciate, love everything you're saying.
him. Yes,
And legacy is the why. Legacy is why we're doing it. So birth those babies back in, produce those fruits, change systems, knock down what needs to be knocked down,
that's
stand
right.
tall, speak tall, look up. So
Look, y'all. Right, it's our time.
that's right.
The planet needs the people who are going to protect her, right? The planet needs the people who understand her. The planet needs the people who are willing to listen. Because the earth gonna bounce back from whatever it's been through. It's been through abuse. Mama has been abused
Abused.
by a very abusive husband for like 600 to 700 years. She thought that she can skate, on Zaddy because this light skinned nigga came around, and she's like, hold on, I look like Ken. And she found out, unfortunately, the wrong, yeah, like you should not jump ship from
Ah,
Paw. Paw was a Rolling Stone, but he was gonna come back home, and now he got his act together. You know what I'm saying? He had to go and get some therapy. His mom wasn't right. He had a very abrupt upbringing, but he got his character and his things together. And the mama's ready to come back home. She want that old thing back. So, melanated man and women, you got a duty on this planet to
that's
be the
right.
custodians and the caretakers of mama. Mama's getting up there in age and she has done so much for you, but her wisdom is best served when she gets to slow down a little bit and just dispense to her grands and her great grands. And you know what I'm saying? Don't disqualify her because she ain't a spring chicken no more. She has
Ah,
given. She's given. Now it's her
she is
time
the crone.
to get to living. Yeah.
Right.
And she want to see her grandchildren grow to a bright prime age. You feel me? So step up, melanated man and woman. Take the reins back. This planet needs you. The galaxy needs you. I ain't even gonna tell you what the aliens told me. That's gonna be a whole nother conversation. But they tired of your shit. They like, yeah.
Tired of your shit.
Yeah, they like, you got your children running circles around you. You're going to be the laughing stock of the galaxy if you don't figure this thing out, because we cannot intervene on your behalf and you still hold on to your manhood.
Right.
You feel me?
Right. You heard it?
You're going to be running around you're going to be running around the galaxy like you spent 6 months in Diddy's crib. Yeah, that part. So just to act together so we could get back together and the melanated man and the woman can sit back on that throne. You should have known when they told you the first time to watch the throne. Two men can't fit on one throne.
Yo, you killing me. Yo, you're a vibe. You're a vibe. You killing it. Killing it. But it's clear. It's clear. It's funny because it's funny. That's why it's funny, because it's funny.
Oh, because it's funny.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, we have an amazing assignment before us. We should be so excited about what the future holds for us. It's going to be some things that are going to be rocky. What's Scarface said? You're going to see some things that make it hard to smile.
There shall be casualties, for sure.
We got to get through it so we could get to it. You know what I'm saying? And what we get into is that paradise on the other side of things. What we get into is the ability to see one another for who and what we are without somebody in the middle trying to interpret our conversation that don't know our tongue and our language to begin with. So, yeah, I really look forward to that. You know, I'm excited about it. I'm excited when these borders are dropped and we can get back to our family. Right. You know, these people they out of order. They out of border and they out of order. So, yeah, let's restore the order where the sons and the daughters can play again. You know, on these open fields, and y'all is over there and we over here, but we should be together. Why not? Because we got a fictional border between us with,
that's right.
You know, irresponsible politics. Come on, it don't even make sense what we're dealing with. But a day is coming, a new day is upon us,
and very soon.
I'm excited for what it all entails. And so just remain strong and hold on, family. Be there for one another, you know. And we all don't know what that means. It's still a process. We're still learning what that means for ourselves. But
true. But don't give up.
You know, your relationships don't always have to be transactional. You know what I'm saying? So be there for somebody, like from the heart, you know. Do voluntary good deeds for people on the planet. Just create more ashe for yourself as you move through this plane. Separate yourself from the evildoers and the no-gooders by making sure that you are walking in light and you walking it right.
Clarified waters.
You know, and you do what you know is right from your heart. I'm not going to interpret that for you. Or what is that? The stuff that makes you feel good after you do it, that's what it is. That's what doing right looks like. The stuff that makes you feel good after you do it, and it's not transactional, meaning you don't expect nothing in return. Right?
Wow.
That part.
It's pure. It's when it's pure. Clear waters. Clear waters. We're gonna wrap a lot more, brother. Yes. Give thanks for your time and just chilling with us. And we
got one more. We getting one more in, or that's it?
Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean the song.
Yes. We are definitely gonna try to do
Breathless. That. Yeah.
Breathless. All right.
That is off of the Holy Ghost 3 album. We just celebrated the album release for that the other night. Well, it's been released to the streaming platforms, so the family can find Holy Ghost 3 on their streaming platforms, anywhere where stream.
Okay, that sounds good.
And this is my brother, Red Pill. This is artist named Kambada, and myself. And the track is produced by Brother Rich from Black Magic 363. And yes, this is the new vibration. This is the music that, you know, the world needs to hear more of.
Amazing. Brother, I just want to give thanks. We're going to close out with that song and you and I will connect. Give thanks to all the listeners, all the watchers for tuning in and doing something like this on a moon day for yourself, starting the strong with intention. So
That's right.
I'm wishing that the rest just is up from here.
Shay.
Ashe, jam with us on this one. This is Breathless.
Let's go.
Crushing the socials, rushing through Ukraine, touching the locals. Quasi Kodo, touching the coastals. Ethiopia, touching the opals. Big quasi nobles, kissing the ring. You niggas is Google, I'm ChatGPT, mixed with the Bing. Lift every voice without lifting a thing. The baby was born with the gift of a thing. I'm the next Elon, straight out of Pelon. History laughing, watching history happen, mystery cracking. It's the elitists attacking the fetus, they packing the seats, they're cracking like C4C. They say it won't happen again, like getting back with Adidas, see back with the heaters, lacking the sweepers, all black like a pack of fajitas. Used to get stacks for the features, now niggas they pay us with straps on the back of their sneakers, just to come slack with the teachers. We made them a promise and made us some comments, they paid us some homage. We married the game and they gave us Madonna, no maiden, no honor, rebuking the priest like Shannon O'Connor. If I take the breath, God give you the breathe. Remove the air from the wind and the breeze. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. An engine is deep. Drain the blood you got in you that bleed. Chop the tree of knowledge down and pick up the leaves. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. An engine is deep. I mumble on Pro Tools. Spaceship I could hover and close to. I abducted and probe you. Till I got the tongue of a toad too. On the rumble with Goku. Wasn't even close. I thought somebody told you. I'd be munching on gold shroom till I grow you like a choke on a toadstool. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Terran, I'm the fairest of them all. Clearly, I'm a pharaoh and a god. There is no comparing me to y'all. Need a monster manifesting wealth. So me and all my family have held. Destroy the world and build it back better. My mind, I built a plane by myself. Unbelievable. I'm achieving the unachievable. I'm conceiving the unconceivable. All the demons I stomach speak Hebrew. We play peekaboo. Unpredictable, unexplainable, inexplicable, undefinable, undescriptible, underrated, unequivocal, unforgivable. Feeling like I've become invisible. Underground like the mud and mineral. Industry is so fucking pitiful. Only signing a constant criminal. Honestly, I would love to kill a few. Chain around like a flooding grip with you. Dude, I will punch the principal. Take the system like what would Hitler do? If I take the breath, God give you the breathe. Remove the air from the wind and the breeze. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. An engine is deep. Drain the blood you got in you that bleed. Chop the tree of knowledge down and pick up the leaves. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. An engine is deep. Dodge in the rainstorm, gotta be chain on, frozen like drain free. Rolling like 18, swollen like 8 beams. From the borough with it take cream. Shit, we throwing the mainstream. People niggas dipping in steak cream. Look, got sweeter than pastries, cheaping on lace squeeze. Got a nigga face ski. Say cheese, had to rub it in like grape seed. Killer be blue like Grape Street. Spitting over break beats, slipping off our waist beats. I got the gas, make me. God is a gnat that can make me. God in the gnat, make cream. Got it in the back, greatly. Get dirt since my late teens. Now it's a must if you stay clean. Establish trust, stay cream. Added milk with no late fees. Mad as fuck when you waste cream. Sanded milk through the late fees. Mars attack like a space beast. Mars attack like a hate speed. Mars intact like we make drinks. Mars is back like a lace string. Flow like a CD, you know that it's me. Pablo appearing on Holy Ghost 3. Though it's a beat, we gon' fold appetit. I'm a beast on the road, I'm a freak. You don't speak, I can hold the street. If I take the breath, God give you the breathe. Remove the air from the wind and the breeze. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. An engine is deep. Drain the blood you got in you that bleed. Chop the tree of knowledge down and pick up the leaves. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. An engine is deep.
Oh my God.
And
Woo.
we're making the music that we want to hear.
That's right.
So we want to thank the people, for receiving our offerings, and there's many more to come.
Wow.
Me and my brother got a whole project that's coming out on 420, the 48 Pillars of Power. And then I have another album right after that called Blu-ray. And, these
We're
albums
ready
are
for it.
finished. Yeah, they locked and loaded, ready to go. The visuals are on the way. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to incorporate so many things with our rollouts and our displays, and just really showing people where the merge of technology and artistry is at right now, it's going to be a clinic. Yeah, so Canada, get ready, because we definitely want to come up there and perform and, bring all of the things that we have to offer as community, almost like a needed and necessary cultural exchange.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Canada.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to you and the queen and that upcoming baby. Just saying. I mean, hey.
I'm speaking into existence, but she's not expecting. I don't want people to be.
Hey, I know before we start nothing, right? Before we start nothing, but in anything that is already on its way to you. So we're not stopping any flow. We just acknowledging, right? Give thanks. Give thanks. We're going to connect again. Shout out to the queen. Shout out to the whole family, all the nephews, the nieces, right?
Yes.
It's going to be a lovely one. We're going to connect again. You are family here. Roots Reggae Radio thanks you. There's a legacy behind this whole project, a grand legacy. So just showing people where our modern day leaders are now, right? There's this bridge that has happened. We've seemed to think that there's a gap or that there are no people leading the journey, but here you are live in the flesh. So people here now, they know. If they didn't know, they gonna know. And yes, yes, indeed. So with that, I'll say good night. We're gonna close off over here, and it's peace and love, God. Peace and love, highest vibrations to you.
Peace. Give thanks. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace out.
And with that, we out. Wow. Wow. It's beautiful. Give thanks for listening into Innerspace Fortress with yours truly, Jerema, the Gempress. And for those of you who have been tuned in to the live stream on YouTube, shout out to you, those on the web, those on the Instagram. We made this one an extra special, extended version. Do not miss the replay Sunday, 8 a.m. Also, 7 p.m. The knowledge, the wisdom is there for you. We do this for you, for your greatest updates, your greatest movements, your greatest revelations. And it's on you to tell a friend. It's on you to bring someone into your space and set the tone on a moon day for them to receive this kind of knowledge. You can be a conduit to that. You can be a caveat. So you don't need to be at the forefront of thought leading. You don't need to be silent as recourse. There is a middle ground where you can be a part of the revolution. It will not be televised, but it's definitely on radio. It's definitely on the gram. It's definitely on the web, and it's definitely outside. So just go out on this Giving Monday, give to someone in need, show them love, and give to yourself. That is my wish for you for the evening, is that you continue with this vibration until slumber. Bring it into the underworld and start tomorrow even stronger. Peace and love. We will be here next Monday, unless this baby arrives. Who knows? All right. Peace and love.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Start it off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for